Sunny, breezy, and unseasonably warm, high 81. From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk, I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Right now it's cloudy and 52 degrees. I'm Debbie Monterey, KMOX News.
Chris Ranji, Amy Marks Kors, The Chris and Amy Show.
Check it out.
St. Louis, Mound City, we are going to have a great day today
On 104.1 FM.
Let's take it from the top.
KMOX.
And good morning, everybody. It is a beautiful day out there on a Wednesday in March.
It's a
not
little
really that
misty
nice.
and spritzy,
Yeah,
but it's not cold.
No, it's not. It's about 50-something degrees, and this is the Chris and Amy Show, and this show was on for 3 hours until 12 o'clock. Then the Gas House Gang today with Tom Ackerman and me, 314-436-7900 to call and text into the show. And you can also leave voice messages directly from the Odyssey app, which is a great place to listen to the show live if you feel like putting it on your phone. You can also listen to Cardinals baseball directly from the app. And we are streaming on visual platforms like Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. We are at Chris Amy KMOX.
Time now for the top of the order. The top 3 stories everyone will be talking about.
Well, a U.S. submarine sunk an Iranian warship, and Pete Hegseth says that more American forces are heading to the Middle East. We're going to talk to Colonel Jeff McCausland today at 9:30 about the operation.
And Colin Cowherd says that the Cardinals are, quote, hurting baseball and making people unhappy.
What?
And the Dodgers are saving baseball.
Oh, but the Dodgers who spend $1 billion a year?
So I just want to give this number so you're all ready. 314-436-7900. That's our text line and call line, because I have a feeling you are going to have thoughts.
I think
you people are going to have thoughts.
I think you people are going to have a lot of thoughts about that. That's really interesting. We're going to hear what Mr. Cowherd has to say. And the Billikens have an opportunity tonight to win the conference. Not the conference tournament, but they can win the regular season with a victory against Loyola in the final home game of the season. There are 2 games left for the Billikens, one of them at home. That is tonight, and that game is, of course, right here on KMOX, a 6:45 pregame show, and we hope you will listen into that. Good luck to the Billikens. How about a top seed for them? Didn't think that was, not that I thought it was impossible or anything, but I just didn't expect going into the season it would be this good, and they have been really, really fantastic. So we are in the midst of I don't know what you want to call it. I think it's a war. Seems like a war. Seems like there are a lot of conflicting messages about the conflict. Whether you hear from Pete Hegseth or Marco Rubio or the president himself, we are in the midst of some sort of campaign against Iran. And yes, American service members have died already, and we expect more to come. And this is, I know that, Amy, we have talked about this already, and I'm sure we will continue to talk about it, but it's difficult for me to wrap my head around this when the campaign 2 years ago, prior to the presidency of Donald Trump, was we are not going to any more wars. In fact, I'm getting all out of all wars, and we are absolutely accelerating one right now. So there's a little dissonance that's happening for me. And I mentioned this thing yesterday, how Kash Patel, remember when just last week he removed several FBI agents from their posts because they were involved in the classified documents investigation. So he fired all of them. The bad news is all of them are working on Iranian counterintelligence. So these seem like people we should probably have in-house right now, don't you think?
So, yeah, again, it's a lot to take in there because, like you said, the conflict right now continues to grow. We found out this morning, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth said that the U.S. submarine did sink an Iranian warship. But what you're pointing out, like FBI Director Kash Patel fired a dozen FBI agents last week, as you mentioned, for their role in the classified documents investigation of Donald Trump. Basically, he said, well, they made some mistakes I breached protocol or whatever in their
But
investigation.
didn't really specify what they did
No, he
wrong.
didn't specify at all. It comes across as a very, very partisan move that these guys, these people were willing to bring up evidence in the classified documents case that would be not flattering towards Donald Trump. And that's all it takes is you either, support the president fully all the time, no matter what he does, or you just bring evidence. And if the evidence isn't flattering, then they're not favorable towards you. So he fired them. Here's the thing, as you mentioned, they were an elite counter-espionage unit that their job was investigating threats from foreign adversaries, specifically Iran. So either my guess is Kash Patel had no idea what was going on as far as anticipating an attack on Iran. And my guess is they didn't tell him. Maybe he was too busy, flying around with his girlfriend and partying and drinking beer. I don't know. But the fact that you have a level of incompetence, miscommunication, or lack of communication, that here you are in a very big deal, launching some kind of campaign against the Iranian regime, and you have fired your elite counter-espionage unit that specializes in threats from foreign adversaries, especially Iran. And again, he did not give any evidence. There was no evidence. He just said, well, they didn't do their jobs correctly, but he provided zero evidence. There are zero receipts for why he made these firings. So it's very easy to assume, historically speaking, looking at the administration, that it was partisan. But this is a big deal because, again, what is going on in Iran right now is global implications. And two things can be true. I am glad that Iranian regime is taken down. They wanted death to America, death to Israel, called America like the great Satan.
Well, the head of the regime is taken down. The regime itself, we don't have.
We don't know
real
about
evidence.
the regime. Sorry.
Yeah,
But yes,
because his son might be taking over.
Right. We know that the head of the regime, the Ayatollah was taken down. We know that the head of the Guard, the Revolutionary Guard, was taken down. We know that the orchestrator, architect of the nuclear program was killed. So key figures for sure were killed. We don't know what happens next. And you can be glad that those guys are gone and even feel that it buys time for a safer Middle East, a safer world, because a nuclear Iran is absolutely untenable. But also understand we don't know what's going to fill the vacuum. And nature abhors a vacuum. It will be filled.
Yeah. And so the issue with this, and there are a number of issues with it, but one of them, and maybe mainly, is the FBI, if there is going to be a retaliation on American soil or against American interests, the FBI would be heavily involved in trying to thwart that. If you have people whose expertise is in Iran, and they have been working on Iran for however many years collectively, that's a bit of a brain drain now that we are experiencing, because you can't just replace those people. You can't just take a dozen people who are specializing in that country and keeping an eye out on what that country does and how it affects our interests. You can't just wipe them all out and then say, well, we'll just find new people to replace them immediately, because you've lost a bunch of institutional knowledge. That's objectively bad for us. And it is even worse when you put it up against the report that came out several days ago about Patel, who apparently, according to the New York Times, had ordered a SWAT team to escort his girlfriend around town. And it comprised of a couple of cars and several agents. Like, this is what he's worried about? He's worried about his girlfriend getting from a country singer, getting from place to place, instead of worrying about American problems and this American issue that we might end up having something really, and I hope this doesn't happen, but it's very possible that something does happen on American soil that's tragic. And the FBI is in charge of trying to make sure. They're not the only agency, but they are one of the agencies that exist to try and make sure something like that doesn't happen. And he did nothing but damage them.
Yeah, I don't know what the threats are. I don't know what to expect. What I do know is I have zero faith at all in the buffoon that is Kash Patel. And some of the messaging is getting filtered down now as far as why the United States made its decision to go in and bomb Iran and take out the leadership, obviously along with Israel. And I think there is a very strong constitutional case for it, and that very strong constitutional case should have been brought to Congress. I mean, process does matter. Now, Marco Rubio did address the media again yesterday. And when talking about Iran and nuclear weapons, he said, quote, "This terroristic, radical, cleric-led regime cannot be ever allowed to have nuclear weapons. We saw what they were willing to do to their own people. They were willing to slaughter their own people in the streets. Imagine what they would do to us. Imagine what they would do to others." Then the media continued to question him, and it got a little tense. And he said again, period, quote, "The president made a decision, and the decision he made was that Iran was not going to be allowed to hide behind its ballistic missile program, that Iran was not going to be allowed to hide behind its ability to conduct these attacks. The decision had been made. The president systematically made a decision to systematically destroy the terroristic capability that they had, and we carried that out. I was very clear in that answer." He continued, "This was a question of timing, of why this had to happen as a joint operation, not the question of the intent. Once the president made a decision that negotiations were not going to work, that they were playing us on the negotiations, and that this was a threat that was untenable, the decision was made to strike them." End quote. And multiple people have pointed out that is an argument that's valid and should have been made clear from the beginning, should have been made clear to Congress, and that's what should have been presented to Congress. The president does have the War Power Acts under which he is still acting, but even that answer right there from Marco Rubio, it has legs to it. That's a substantial answer. And because of the bumbling nature, miscommunication of this administration, of President Trump being rather impulsive, it took days for us to get this answer.
Yeah, so which means they didn't have this in order. So I just don't trust anything they say about it. I'm sorry, but I don't. And, you know, if you're listening and you think, well, I trust this administration fully. Okay, you can. You're allowed to. That's part of being an American. You can decide whatever you want. But I just don't. If they don't have their answer straight from the very beginning, why would I trust them several days later? So I hope nothing escalates, but I figure that it's going to, and I hope we aren't ultimately affected here on the mainland. But I don't know what that's going to look like, whether it's cyber warfare of some kind or.
Is anyone talking about that right now? Like, I haven't heard any of that being escalated.
But you know, that's the natural end result. They're going to retaliate. They're going to continue to retaliate.
I don't know
as
what
best
their
they can.
Capabilities are right now.
Well, I would not.
Because I hadn't heard those specific.
Well, that's always the danger. Of course, they could do that to us. So hopefully the FBI is not weakened substantially, and we're going to find out. It's Chris and Amy on KMOX.
Wesley is a truck driver.
I drive a truck, and I love what I do.
A truck driver with IRS troubles.
They told me I owed them $43,000.
It got really bad.
Quite a few letters in the mail. They were talking about wage garnishment, coming after my house, my car. Yeah, they don't play around. I seriously thought that I was going to lose everything.
One sleepless night, Wesley finally made a call to Optima Tax Relief at 2 a.m.
Kind of figured I'd get a machine, but I didn't. I actually got to talk to an actual person in the middle of the night.
He found just what he was looking for.
Oh, they were great people. You need a team of people that know what they're doing. Optima Tax, they know what they're doing.
Optima Tax Relief came through with flying colors.
I saved an incredible amount of money. Happy don't even come close. I was absolutely overjoyed.
Take Wesley's advice.
If you're in any kind of trouble with the IRS, call Optima Tax Relief. Don't trust anybody else.
Call Optima for a free consultation. Call 800-348-0269. 800-348-0269. 800-348-0269.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
We get it. Attention spans just aren't what they used to be. Heads in social media and eyes on Netflix. But what do people do with their ears? Well, for one, they're listening to audio. Americans spend 4.4 hours with audio every day. Oh, and you want the proof? Well, you just sat through this ad that's now approaching 30 seconds. What could you say to a potential customer in 30 seconds? Let Odyssey put together a media plan tailor-made for your unique marketing needs. Advertise with Odyssey. Visit ads.odyssey.com.
Shopping with your parents can be embarrassing.
Why would they sell jeans with holes in them? I'm going to speak to the manager.
Mom!
That hoodie is giving. You should get it. YOLO.
Thanks to the Chase mobile app, your kid can shop independently while you keep an eye on their spending. So you can go from,
we can be twinsies,
to,
how was shopping? Saw you stayed on budget.
Thanks, Mom.
freedom for kids, control for parents. That's family banking from Chase.
Account subject to approval. Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank N.A. member FDIC.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance tech at a university, he knows ordering from multiple suppliers takes time away from keeping their arena up and running. That's why he counts on Grainger to get everything he needs, from lighting and HVAC parts to plumbing supplies, all in one place. And with fast, dependable delivery, he's stocked and ready for the next tip-off. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
If snow and cold has you thinking spring, why don't you do something constructive and call Chesterfield Fence and Deck? Let this be the year that you have that beautiful outdoor space that you've always wanted. Whether you're talking about a new deck, a patio, a pergola, they do all of it. And of course, fences as well, sunrooms, screen rooms. You can visit their beautiful showroom in the Chesterfield Valley. Chesterfield Fence and Deck is the sign you have the very best since 1968. All of their products are guaranteed by a 5-year labor warranty, comprehensive material warranties provided. They have an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Now, if you're looking for the rock bottom cheapest price, Chesterfield Fence and Deck is not it. What they are is the company that guarantees their work and has been doing great work for 57 years. Quality work that will last for a long, long time. So you can enjoy your outdoor space for years to come. If you mention me, Debbie Monterey, they'll offer you 48 months interest-free financing. ChesterfieldFence.com.
I'm Dave Glover, and I see clearly now thanks to the doctors, Dr. Greg Birdie, Ranjan Malhotra, Robert Brusati, and Andy Royer. You can too. Just go to youridoc.com.
Proudly serving St. Louis for over 100 years. KMOX, the voice of St. Louis.
It's 104.1 FM KMOX, the home of St. Louis Cardinals baseball. They play today an exhibition game against Nicaragua because the World Baseball Classic is starting this week. And that's an event that for a lot of people is a lot of fun. And there are some really exciting games that come out of it. I typically not the biggest fan of the Classic. I don't like that when my baseball team is getting ready for the regular season, you've got players that have to leave camp and go all out for this tournament, which people end up really caring about. And then I think there are injuries that can happen. I don't know. It's just I'm not the biggest fan of the Classic, but it is happening right now. So 12:05. And in fact, you can listen to that game on 11:20 a.m. And if you're on one of the affiliates, you can listen. But we know the Cardinals season coming up here. There aren't a whole lot of people out there nationally who think the Cardinals are going to be particularly good in 2026. Most people have picked them to finish dead last in the division. Some people have said they're going to be historically bad. And I don't know if it's going to be White Sox bad or Colorado Rockies bad, but some people think that that's where they're headed, or maybe on the not so bad end, a 75-win season, which is under 500, but not atrociously terrible. Well, Colin Cowherd, who is a sports radio host, national host, you may have heard of him. He had this to say about the upcoming season.
Dodgers also lead in road attendance. So even if they're not your stars, you like paying to watch the Dodgers. Second in road attendance, the playoff Chicago Cubs. So the Cubs and the Dodgers are winning a lot, and everybody is almost entirely happier, 3 times more happy than 3 years ago. So what's hurting baseball and what hurts any store, any industry is lousy. What hurts baseball is the A's and the Marlins and the White Sox and the cruddy Cardinals and the Pirates. You put those products in the store, that hurts the store.
So the argument, hold on.
She used cruddy in front of the Cardinals.
The argument he is making is that people are now anti-Dodgers because they spend so much money and it's unfair. They have an unfair advantage and they're ruining the sport. That teams that have all the resources and use them all on payroll, They're leaving everybody else in the dust and nobody else can compete. And therefore, teams like the Dodgers are ruining baseball. His argument is, nope, actually, it's teams like the Cardinals.
Cruddy Cardinals and
that are ruining baseball because they are not spending enough money. Okay. I don't agree with the premise that the Cardinals are ruining baseball, and I don't think they should be included with the likes of the Pirates and the A's and the White Sox. And the reason is those teams, especially the Pirates and the A's, have historically not tried intentionally. The Cardinals are not trying. The Cardinals are doing what they call a rebuild, where they are trying. They identified a bunch of problems. They said it's not working anymore. We can't just spend our way out of this. We have to tear it down, start over.
Okay.
Whether or not it's going to work, don't really know. But that's the correct process to take, and that's what they're doing. It's not the same as what the A's and the Pirates do, which is you have some good young talent, and then you absolutely refuse to spend any money whatsoever to help out that talent. You just let them die. I do have a problem with putting the Cardinals in with those other teams.
Obviously, because the Cardinals, next to the Yankees, right, have the most World Series. They went to the World Series in 2004. They won the World Series in 2006. They won the World Series in 2011, which is pretty frequent. That's a lot of World Series compared to most franchises in that period. And for the Cardinals, they have missed the playoffs 6 out of the last 10 seasons, right? They've missed the playoffs 6 out of the last 10 seasons. 10
sounds right. Yeah.
They missed 25, 24, 23. They missed in 2018, 17, and 16.
Okay.
6 out of the last 10, that's tough for Cardinals fans. But by baseball standards, the Cardinals are not down there with the A's or the Pirates. The Pirates haven't been to the playoffs, 10 years? Longer than that? Or the A's. There is no equality there between saying because the Cardinals were so good for decades that now they're going through a tough streak, that now they're the equivalent of the Pirates making baseball bad. It's like they skipped over 80% of the middling teams in baseball that are just fine or maybe just missed the playoffs and went right to the Cardinals because they're in a rough patch right now.
This isn't to say that the Cardinals don't deserve criticism and haven't made mistakes, or that we shouldn't point them out and hold them to a higher standard, because we should. This fan base supports this team better than almost every other fan base in baseball, with a few exceptions. You know, we are as loyal of a fan base as any. We are as loyal as the Yankees fan base or the Red Sox or the Cubs or any of these other big time teams, the Dodgers. This organization's base is as every bit as loyal as the rest of those. And
the Pirates missed 30 of the last 33 years, I think. Playoffs.
Cardinals fans deserve to have an organization that does everything they can to win, and maybe then some. But I think to put them in the same conversation with these other teams, when the Cardinals just 4 years ago were in the playoffs and were in a stretch of making it to the playoffs every single year. They went from 2019 all the way through 2022. That's 4 straight years in the postseason. Now they have missed 3 years, and it's probably going to be 4 years in a row that they have missed. And this is a stretch of ball that we're not really used to in St. Louis. So it's making us sad from that perspective, because we expect more from them and they have given us more. And because we have those high expectations, they should be back there relatively quickly, or we expect them to be back there relatively quickly. But I mean, to say that, I just completely disagree with the premise that the Cardinals are what's wrong with baseball. The Pirates, absolutely, because they won't spend any money. The A's intentionally tanked for years. John Fisher is one of the worst owners in sports. And so is Bob Nutting with the Pirates.
Yeah.
They intentionally tanked those teams. And the A's did it so that they can move town and get a better deal somewhere else. And Major League Baseball allowed them to do it, and they're going to reward them with a new stadium in a new city, which is absolute BS. And so,
it
but
makes
so
no
to say the
sense.
Cardinals are in that category, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But Cowherd is doing what a sports radio host typically does and say things just to say things so that people talk about it. And congratulations, Colin. You have been successful. We're talking about
That's
you.
why he put the adjective in front of the Cardinals, the cruddy Cardinals, because he knew one of these things is not like the other when he named those groups of teams. And he knew people would lose their minds putting the Cardinals with the Pirates. Again, the Pirates, missed the playoff 30 years out of 33 years?
Yeah.
Something like that. It's laughable, which, as you said, which is why he did it.
Cruddy Cardinals.
Always let us know what you think on the text line 314-436-7900 or at Chris Amy KMOX on Twitter. We will talk about the conflict in Iran when we come back. Colonel Jeff McCausland, CBS military analyst, joins us next.
Spring training is here, and Cardinals baseball is heating up in Jupiter as young talent and big expectations take the field. The Gas House Gang is talking Cardinals all day long. Tom Ackerman, Chris Ranji, Bernie Miklasz. Smart takes, insightful analysis, real Redbird conversation, plus live reports from Camp Cardinals with Matt Pauley and Mike Claiborne. If it matters to Cards fans, it's on the Gas House Gang. Weekdays at noon on KMOX. Now, KMOX weather from the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk.
Currently, it is 53 degrees and cloudy out there. Breezy, not as cool. Periods of rain, could be some thunderstorms today, a high of 59. Tonight, watch out for those showers and heavy thunderstorms, which could bring flooding downpours, hail, damaging wind gusts, maybe tornadoes, a low of 55.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
Just hearing the word IRS can make people break out in a cold sweat. No one wants to deal with the IRS, and now you don't have to. The good news is Legal Tax Defense has been successfully negotiating with the IRS for more than 15 years. It doesn't matter how much you owe, whether it's $5,000 or $5 million. You deserve the best in the business on your side, and that is Legal Tax Defense. Even if you're working with someone else and just want a second opinion, there is no cost or obligation to call. They can prevent levies, liens, wage garnishments, even file back tax returns. And the best news about Legal Tax Defense is they won't take your case unless they know they will reduce or eliminate your tax debt. Call Legal Tax Defense right now for a free no-risk consultation. 800-284-1238. 800-284-1238. You have nothing to lose, but everything to gain. 800-284-1238.
Hey guys, Glover here for my friends at Cantor Injury Law. So as you know, I'm a lawyer, haven't practiced in a long time, but I did plaintiff's work and defense work, so I have a pretty good understanding of it. I have a pretty good idea of who's who in the firmament of plaintiffs' attorneys. And for my money, Mark Cantor is the guy. He's a great attorney. He is a great practitioner. He's put together a great team. He was born and raised here. He lives here. He works here. He wins here. Call 314-628-ALL-9s or CantorInjuryLaw.com. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision. It should not be based on advertising.
We've been here 30 years. 30 Christmases in this house, and we have the traditions that most families have.
That's Terry talking about her experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We did Rhino Shield 14 years ago, and the house still looks the same as the first day. Rhino Shield really worked with me to help me get just the right nice soft yellow, and it's 14 years later, and it's the same color.
The main reason Terry called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by its 25-year transferable warranty.
Just sounded wonderful that we could have the house coated with Rhino Shield and not have to worry about it again for 25 years.
Take it from Terry. Give Rhino Shield a call now for a free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
There have been neighbors that have come by and said, "Did you just have your house painted?" Because they wanted to know who the contractor was. And I said, "No, it's actually Rhino Shield."
877-25rhino.com.
Hey guys, Kevin Wheeler here for FanDuel Sportsbook, the official sportsbook of KMOX. It's college basketball season. It's been phenomenal. And look, college basketball is just nonstop, big games, tight spreads, momentum swings every night. And now FanDuel is giving you a way to turn that energy into even bigger wins with a college basketball parlay profit boost. So here's how it works. Build any college hoops parlay that you like. The early tip, the rivalry game, the ranked matchup, the late night West Coast shootout, whatever it is. You can mix spreads, totals, props, whatever fits your read on that slate, and then just apply your profit boost and instantly bump that potential payout. So go safe. You can do that. You can go spicy, get hot, get in there. Go with the team that you've been following all year. Pick a new one. Doesn't matter. Just go to FanDuel.com/Missouri to get yourself started. FanDuel, play your game. Remember, you must be 21 or older and present in Missouri. Opt-in required. Minimum 2-leg parlay required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable boost builder tokens. Restrictions do apply, including any token expiration and max wager amount. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. And if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
It's men's Billikens basketball action tonight as they take to the court against Loyola. Pregame 6:45. Tip at 7 on your home for Billikens basketball. KMOX.
It's Chris and Amy on KMOX, and we have talked a bit about the war in Iran, or whatever you want to call it. Maybe we can ask Colonel Jeff McCausland how we should properly identify this military campaign, because he joins us now. CBS military analyst, retired U.S. Army Colonel McCausland is with us now on KMOX. How you doing, Colonel?
I am busy, Chris, to say the very least. I hope you're doing well.
We're doing great, and we're glad that you take out a little time to talk with us. And yeah, it seems like there is a lot of confusion as to what to call this. Are we in the middle of a war? I know that Congress hasn't declared it. It has been said that they have declared it on us, which doesn't seem accurate either. So what is this campaign called?
Well, I think you'd have to call it a war. I mean, my goodness, when you take out the leadership of a country, when you hit 2,000 targets in that country using even heavy bombers like the B-2, when the war now stretches from Cyprus to Sri Lanka, when a U.S. submarine sinks an enemy ship off the coast of Sri Lanka, and now we got 11 countries or more that have been struck by the protagonists involved in the conflict, and we've had at least 6 U.S. service members killed. If that's not a war, I'm not quite sure what you would call it. Now, certainly the Congress is going to wrestle this, really not so much over what they call it, but whether or not Congress has a role in the War Powers Act.
Colonel McCausland, I know there have been different messages coming out of the administration about why the United States went ahead with the attack and also the timing. And Marco Rubio spoke about the president saying negotiations were not going anywhere, that, nuclear Iran is untenable, that they weren't going to sit around and wait for Iran to strike. And I wanted to get your thoughts on the different arguments for the United States actions. And I know it was made later after the attack, but what do you make of them, and which ones do you hold the most weight?
Yeah, well, they've kind of moving all over the place. I think what your question suggests that, and that's absolutely true, which makes it very difficult to galvanize the support of the American people for this particular operation. I mean, Secretary of State Rubio even said a couple of days ago that the reason we attacked was because Israel was about to attack, Iran would retaliate against us, so we needed to preempt. Well, that would suggest that major decisions about going to war for the United States of America were being made by Benjamin Netanyahu in Jerusalem, who's kind of the junior partner in this coalition, to say the least. Now they've reversed all that. Oh, no. There was evidence that Iran was preparing to attack, but public announcements by our intelligence services suggest that is widely exaggerated, to say the very least. Clearly, the negotiations were ongoing. We know they went through last Thursday prior to the attack, and it also seems evident that the maximum that the Iranians were willing to offer was far beyond the minimum that was acceptable to the United States. But was there still a role for diplomacy? We'll never know, because those were concluded. But the main rationale seems to be that Iran was continuing to build up the ability to threaten the region through its ballistic missile capability. They would argue they were building those up to defend themselves after they had been degraded severely by the 12-day war with Israel last June. Furthermore, we argued they were still trying to develop the possibility of acquiring a nuclear weapon, and that's what the negotiations were all about. At the same time, of course, about a year ago, we conducted Operation Midnight Hammer, and the administration at that time insisted that we had obliterated their nuclear weapons program. And even Secretary of State Rubio has said in the last few days that there was no evidence that Iran was continuing to enrich, but he did suggest that there was clear evidence they were trying to once again acquire the capacity to do so. So again, it's been kind of all over the map on why this occurred at this particular moment, but clearly that in some degree, while interesting and will play a role in the discussions on Capitol Hill, we're engrossed in this major conflict that stretches across the Middle East, the biggest war we've seen in that region, at least since 1967.
Was this avoidable on the part of the United States, in your opinion?
Well, clearly, it was avoidable in that you could conduct negotiations. Now, whether or not you think those negotiations had a chance, or whether you believe that they were just, as the administration said, tapping us along, remains a question. But clearly, could you have done other things? Could you have tightened up economic sanctions? Could you have used soft power? Could you have used intelligence assets to try to undermine the administration in Iran? Clearly, that's possible. Would that have been successful? How much time would that have taken? Remains an open issue. From the administration standpoint, they may have also been motivated by the fact that if we're going to do this militarily, let's do it now in the hopes of getting this over, creating a major success in the region as they face very difficult elections in October. I mean, there's no doubt about the fact that in 2003, the Bush administration was motivated to do that invasion in the spring and not wait until the fall because of weather in the summertime in the Middle East when they would be facing elections. So politics plays a role on the timing as well.
So to that end, is there any chance of this operation from our perspective of ending quickly within days or weeks as opposed to months or years, and it being done cleanly?
There's always a possibility, but I think that is going to be very difficult. The reason I say that is if you take the objectives, which seem to be the three that keep coming up more and more, and those objectives were to destroy or at least sufficiently degrade their ballistic missile capability. Yes, we can do that militarily. Second of all, to ensure they cannot move forward in acquiring active material for a nuclear weapon. Yes, we can do that militarily. That being said, that bespeaks some effort then in the aftermath to ensure they don't reconstitute those. But you can do that militarily. The third objective, which the administration has been back and forth on a number of times, is this about regime change, changing out in the regime in Iran? Now, the president's opening remarks on Saturday when the attack began, he said, once we finished our work, then it's kind of over to the Iranian people to rise up and take control of their government. Well, that sounds great. Do we really believe the population can overcome a regime that killed 7,000 to 30,000 of them in the streets of Tehran a few weeks ago, ensuring that it stayed in place, and realize this is existential? It's all about their survival. Do they have the means to do that? Do they have a unifying leader that will bring them together to do that? And frankly, I don't see that. So then the possibility becomes, then rather than bringing in a new government that's more benign to the population and more interested in international peace and security, the president has already said you could bring in somebody who's just about as bad, or you could see Iran descend into civil war. And we look at a country now of 90 million people, about the size of Texas or bigger, that looks like Syria. And that civil war went on for 13 years.
Yeah, that's something that has been brought up, that in Iraq, when there was regime change, the societal institutions that would have functioned as tent poles to hold up that society had been eviscerated by Saddam Hussein. Do we know, are there strong institutions, societal institutions in Iran right now where the society could come together and function, or has it been enervated?
Well, you're getting a bit beyond my expertise as far as Iran, but the biggest institutions of Iran are first the religious faith of Iran. This is a very strong Muslim Shiite state, and that is a large degree of the legitimacy of the Ayatollah as this religious figure who many people think is a representation of God on earth. And his successor will be looked upon in a similar vein by a large portion of the population. So that's one institution. Then the other institutions, quite frankly, have been the IRGC, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, which controls the society, along with the Army, Artesh, and the Bajis, the paramilitary. And those institutions are very, very strong. Indications are, as they move forward now to select a new Grand Ayatollah, that the leading candidates are the Khamenei, who's now dead, son, and another leading cleric on the Shiite faith, both of whom are hardliners, suggesting once again there's no shift towards a more moderate regime, but just hardliners who will double down. So if those are the primary institutions and those institutions realize that their very existence is threatened, it seems to me the possibility of getting through this and moving towards something that's much more benign, much more cooperative, is at best problematical.
Maybe you could explain this question and answer for me, but someone asked, well, can you affect regime change from the air?
And the answer to that, short answer to that is no, as far as I'm concerned. I don't know a recorded example in history where that occurred. I mean, I was on the National Security Council staff in the White House working on the Kosovo Task Force back in 1999, and we mounted a major air campaign against Serbia. And everybody recalls that, and people may think, well, the Serbians quit and Milosevic gave up because of that air campaign. Yes, it had an effect, but I can tell you with absolute certainty, he actually surrendered and stopped when two things happened. Thing number one was when the Russians who were supporting him said, we're cutting off all support, number one. But number two, more importantly, when he became convinced by the movement of our forces and by the information we were providing him that NATO, not just the United States, but NATO was preparing a ground force to move in and take him down. And that's what caused him to actually give in. So again, no evidence that an air campaign can make that kind of political change that I've seen in past, and certainly not political change which brings on a regime that's not as bad as the one you got right now.
I saw a report yesterday, and it's been picked up by multiple outlets since, that non-commissioned officers were told by a unit commander that this entire operation was all part of God's divine plan, and also had numerous references to the book of Revelation and Armageddon, and that they were telling non-commissioned officers, and the NCOs then, filed a complaint. Several of them did. I don't know if you've heard anything about that, but if that's true, that all happened, that's not good, right?
That is awful. That's the most awful thing I've heard today. And no, I hadn't heard that before, but clearly, as a military officer for 30 plus years, I can tell you that is way beyond your authority as a commissioned officer to try to translate what are ongoing political and military decisions that are going to affect you directly in terms of your performance and your unit's performance, and making those into some kind of religious crusade. No, that's off the charts. Now, have I seen, frankly, external groups in past, in Iraq and Afghanistan, those wars, sending information to military personnel saying that the spread of Christianity was part and parcel of what they are all about? Yeah, I've seen that happen, but those were external religious groups, freely exercising their freedom of speech and sending that information to soldiers. But for a commissioned officer to do that is well beyond the pale. If he worked for me, he'd have been fired about 5 minutes after he did that.
Well, a quick question. I know we're jumping all over here, but what do you make of the non-response from China and Russia, who are buddies with Iran?
Well, for the Russians, this is a great success. I mean, this is almost good news. They didn't support Iran back during the 12-day war and the U.S. strike without saying, gee, that was really too bad that happened to you. So any expectation that the Russians would rush to their aid was misplaced, number one. But let's look at more on the balance sheet for the Russians. The price of oil is now $80. And the price of oil goes up, it helps the Russian economy, which is really in tough straits. Chinese will have to depend more and more on Russian oil because they get about 20% of their oil through the Straits of Hormuz, and that's not arriving. The Indians, who just started moving away from buying Russian oil at the urging of President Trump, are probably going to be forced to go back and buy more oil from the Russians. The Europeans, who had quit buying a lot of Russian oil and had become, over the last 4 years of the war in Ukraine, more and more dependent on oil coming out of the Gulf, now are seeing energy prices skyrocket all across Europe as they try to figure out what they're going to do. And then finally, of course, anything that distracts Western attention away from Russian aggression in the Middle East or Russian aggression in Ukraine, is good news for the Russians. And they further know, as the Americans become more embroiled and expend more and more ordnance in the Middle East, that's ordnance that they can't either transfer directly to the Ukrainians or sell to the Europeans to pass on to the Ukrainians. For the Chinese, in a similar vein, anything that distracts the United States from the Indo-Pacific is always good news, and seeing us get boiled down is certainly good for them. But on the other hand, of course, they've got their own economic challenges, And that losing of 20% of oil and natural gas coming from Iran is bad news for the Chinese economy. And of course, they lost access to Venezuelan oil, which was providing something like 3 or 5% of their oil imports prior to the arrest of President Maduro.
Colonel McCausland, as always, you're fantastic. Thank you for giving us time today.
Always my pleasure, you guys. Bye-bye.
Colonel Jeff McCausland, U.S. Army retired and CBS military analyst. And it's awesome to have access to guys like him and Mark Hertling, who are just, really good in times like this. It's Chris and Amy on KMOX. Did you see this is coming up in just a moment? And college basketball is nonstop right now. Huge games, especially with regular season coming to an end. Conference tournaments about to start. You got the big dance coming up as well. And now FanDuel is giving you a way to turn that energy into even bigger wins with a college basketball parlay profit boost. Here's how it works. You build any college hoops parlay you like, early tip, rivalry game, that ranked matchup you're looking at. Then you mix the spreads, totals, props, whatever fits your read, and then apply that profit boost and instantly bump up that potential payout. You can go safe with it. You can go with the team that you've been following all season or get bold with your parlay. It's your style, whatever you want to do. Go to FanDuel.com/Missouri. That's FanDuel.com/Missouri and get started now. FanDuel, play your game. Must be 21 or over and present in Missouri. Opt-in required. Minimum 2-leg parlay required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable boost builder tokens. Restrictions apply, including any token expiration and max wager amounts. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Hey, I'm Mike Slater. My dad passed away at the age of 63. It's out of nowhere. Had a stroke. Super hard, obviously, for the whole family, but my dad had life insurance. This is why I have life insurance for my family, for my wife and 4 kids. And the best place to get life insurance is ethos.com because you can do it in 10 minutes. And there's no medical exam and no blood test, just a few health questions. Get life insurance in 10 minutes so your family is protected. Ethos, ETHOS, ethos.com/Mike.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm, and Chuck McDowell definitely not an attorney. This is Chuck. If someone talked you into buying something really silly and you want to get out of that silly little thing, my advice, get the facts. Call me and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit absolutely free. Inside, you'll learn how timeshare works and all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free exit information kit. 800-909-9696. 800-909-9696.
Make your reservations now for the 2026 Women of Achievement Award Luncheon, presented by KMOX. The award luncheon takes place Tuesday, May 19th at the Ritz-Carlton, St. Louis, and celebrates 10 outstanding volunteers from across the St. Louis metropolitan region. Doors open at 11:15, and the luncheon runs until 1:30 p.m. Reservations are just $60 per person. Sign up and find more details now at KMOX.com/events.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. If you've been injured in a car accident, call America's largest injury law firm. For over 35 years, my mission has been to deliver more for our clients, to deliver more for you. Injured? Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
I was ordering food for the office from the same few places for too long.
For workplaces suffering with office food fatigue, every day's a struggle.
Before starting Easy Cater, I assumed having no good vegan options for Carl in finance was normal.
Easy Cater is designed to treat OFF with a huge variety of favorite restaurants, plus tools to help you meet dietary needs and stay on budget. Used daily, one platform lets you save time and shine. Ask your app store about Easy Cater or start an order at easycater.com.
Save big on home updates at Menards. Transform your floors and walls with stylish Mohawk porcelain tile. 12 by 24-inch urban forged tiles combine a bold modern look with the timeless beauty of natural stone for a stunning result. Plus, they feature Step Sure, an advanced slip-resistant technology providing safety without compromising style. Save big money on Mohawk porcelain tile. Plus, check out our weekly flyer on Menards.com for all the great deals happening now.
Save big money at Menards.
Hey guys, Glover here with my very, very good friend, Dr. Kathy Maupin at BioBalanceHealth.com. If you have reached that certain age and you're just not feeling very well and nothing's working the way it used to work, go see Dr. Kathy. She is not only a medical doctor, she is a patient of this bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. It absolutely works. It's a long-term solution. She is an artist when it comes to helping you with your hormones. BioBalanceHealth.com for Dr. Kathy Maupin.
Start your summer early at the St. Charles Boat Show, March 5th through 8th at the St. Charles Convention Center. The top marine dealers from the Lake of the Ozarks will be on site with the newest boats, personal watercraft, docks, and accessories. Step aboard, compare models, and find the perfect ride for your family. Special show pricing and experts ready to help make your boating dreams a reality. Visit lakeoftheozarksboatdealers.com for more information.
Chris and Amy now. The Dave Glover Show at 1 on the voice of St. Louis, KMOX. Now, did you see this? With Chris and Amy.
I'm not even going to tell you what Matt Pajeski just said. And Amy and Matt Pajeski are making fun of all you Hoosiers out there. All you Hoosiers with boats.
Matt, ask your question.
No.
Yeah, go ahead. Ask your question, Matt. Say it.
I'll start by saying Amy
No,
said.
I didn't say anything.
We're talking about boat shows because there's a boat show commercial. And Amy's like, boat show's kind of for Hoosiers.
You thought boat shows were for Hoosiers?
That's not what I said. I was picturing my uncle's boat, which is the SS Minnow. It's a little like canoe that they attached a motor to, and that's what I was picturing.
No, you weren't. You were picturing pontoon boats.
And then Matt, what did you ask?
If they're so Hoosier, why are boats so expensive?
Yeah.
Hoosiers aren't known for having a lot of money and buying extravagant boats. So maybe we should be calling them Hoosiers after a while.
This is a judgy, awful group.
Okay.
We got to change the subject because these people.
Damn.
On this day, 177 years ago. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. In my defense, my friends have a boat and they're Blues fans and they call it the Bluesier.
See?
Mm-hmm.
That's the name of their boat. So see, it's an inside joke.
If you don't know if Amy and Matt are talking about you as a Hoosier, they are talking about you.
On this day, 177 years ago, the U.S. did not have a president for one day. Or maybe we did, but we don't know who it was. So per the law back then, President James K. Polk's administration expired at noon on March 4th, 1849. Incoming President Zachary Taylor was supposed to take the oath of office that day, but he refused because it was the Sabbath. So he was inaugurated the next day, March 5th. So no one knows who the president was on March 4th. Some believe it was Senator David Rice Atchison. He was the Senate president pro tempore, and he was second in line of succession at the time behind the vice president. They said he personally never claimed the title, but his tombstone reads President of the United States for one day.
Oh, that's not bad. I wouldn't mind having that. There are probably lifelong perks that come with being president for one day, I would think.
Pretty interesting.
Did you see that Mark Teixeira, who formerly played Major League Baseball, really good ball player, actually, for 14 seasons. He was with the Yankees and the Texas Rangers. He has won the Republican primary in it's a South and Central Texas district. San Antonio is part of the district. And so he won his primary last night and is very likely then to be elected to Congress because it is a Republican leading district. So Mark Teixeira is headed to Congress probably.
How many people are going to text, not us, but just maybe, there in the locale, text about him or whatever, email, and just have various spellings? Probably a lot of different spellings.
Oh, yeah, it's a very difficult name to spell.
It's a tough name to spell.
Yeah, it is. I know how to spell it, so I recuse myself from this one.
Right, but you can't do it phonetically.
No, you cannot. Amy Marks Kors and Chris Ranji, we talk a lot about artificial intelligence. Well, how about doctors using AI and what is too far for a doctor using it? Hadass Gold is a CNN AI correspondent and will join us to discuss next on KMOX.
This is Congressman Bob Onder. Tax season is here, and Missouri families are already seeing the real impact of the Working Families Tax Cut Act. House Republicans are delivering real results for hardworking Missourians. According to the Council of Economic Advisors, the bill is projected to raise wages in Missouri by about $3,000 to $6,000 over the next 4 years. That's more money for groceries, gas, and greater security for your family's future. In Congress, I'm working to protect working families, strengthen our economy, and ensure you are keeping more of your hard-earned money.
Paid for by official funds authorized by the House of Representatives.
Friends at Michael's Baths. Were you feeling a little embarrassed when the family came to visit for the holidays and all you could think about was your bathroom not quite being up to par? Now is the perfect time to plan ahead for a spring installation of a beautiful new bathroom. At Michael's Baths, we specialize in beautiful, safe bathroom remodels, from tub to shower conversions to full renovations, including paint and electrical work. Call 636-775-0800 or go to michaelsbaths.com. Mike is a great guy, does great work. That's michaelsbaths.com.
Attention all dog owners. If you have ever listened to the radio or TV for any length of time, you've probably heard of America's #1 dog supplement, Rough Greens. Greetings, naturopathic Dr. Dennis Black, Amazon best-selling author and founder of Rough Greens here. And if your dog suffers from bad breath, itchy skin, licking paws, joint pain, or low energy, the truth is their food is probably to blame. You see, all commercial dog food is dead food. That's why I created Rough Greens. One daily scoop gives your pup the live vitamins, omega oils, probiotics, and enzymes that will bring their food back to life. Don't believe me? Let your dog try it before you buy it. I'll send you a free Jumpstart trial bag, risk-free. You just cover the shipping. Go to roughgreens.com. That's RUFFgreens.com. Use discount code NEWS. Don't wait. Give your dog the gift of vibrant health. Order now. It'll be at your house in a few days. Go to roughgreens.com. That's RUFFgreens.com. Discount code NEWS for your free Jumpstart trial bag today. Rough Green. We make any dog food better.
Experience music, magic, story, and wonder with the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra in Scheherazade, Magic and Myth. Feel bold energy and haunting beauty as violinist Leila Josefowitz performs Alban Berg's deeply moving Violin Concerto. Then be swept away by Scheherazade. Saturday, March 14th and Sunday, March 15th at Powell Hall at the Jack C. Taylor Music Center. Tickets at slso.org.
Dreaming of college but worried about the cost? The Together Foundation is here to help. The Together Foundation is awarding 5 $1,500 scholarships to St. Louis area students who are ready to take the next step toward their future. Applying is simple, but time is limited, as applications will be accepted through March 31st. Learn more or apply at togethercu.org/scholarship. That's togethercu.org/scholarship. This community message has been brought to you by Together Credit Union.
Celebrating 100 years of informing and entertaining. KMOX AM St. Louis, KMOX FM Hazelwood, the voice of St. Louis.
It is 10 o'clock, and right now we've got cloudy skies, some rain in the area. It's 54 degrees downtown. I'm Debbie Monterey. Today's statewide tornado drill has been canceled. The National Weather Service St. Louis office says the 11 a.m. statewide drill will not be rescheduled. Weather officials say they can't rule out severe storms around the 11 o'clock hour, which is the reason for the cancellation. Officials also confirmed today's weekly weather radio test will be postponed until the next day the region has good weather. The U.S. Senate is headed toward a war powers resolution vote on President Trump's decision to go to war with Iran. The conflict has rapidly spread across the Middle East with no clear U.S. exit strategy. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz testifying before a House Oversight Committee hearing on a social services fraud scandal in his state. In his opening statement, Walz accuses the Trump administration of using fraud as an excuse to deploy ICE agents.
Under the guise of combating fraud, the federal government has flooded Minnesota with masked, untrained, and unaccountable agents who are wreaking havoc in our communities.
Walz calls the Trump administration's halt of $259 million in Medicaid funds for his state a totally illegal and unprecedented move and a continuation of a reckoning and retribution pressure campaign against him and his state. Crime rates in East St. Louis are at a 45-year low. Illinois State Police say it shows when you put the right resources in place and have the right plan in place, you can be effective in the long term. The population in East St. Louis, according to the latest census data, dropped from about 27,000 to 18,000 since 2020. The former police chief of the Carlisle, Illinois Police Department is facing federal charges for embezzlement. 52-year-old Mark Pinksterhouse, charged with 2 counts of wire fraud and 2 counts of theft of government funds for allegedly embezzling more than $100,000 between 2017 and 2025. He's accused of using the money for WNBA tickets, jewelry from Zales. He's also accused of taking funds from the police department's drug and education fund. From the KMOX business desk, Ticketmaster's owner is now on trial in New York, accused of gouging music fans. The Justice Department claims Live Nation and Ticketmaster used their size to shut out competitors and drive up ticket prices. Charges Live Nation denies. CBS News national consumer correspondent Usher Karashi.
Prosecutors argue some venues risk losing tours if they don't use Ticketmaster, and that some artists have felt pressure to work with Live Nation promoters to play at its major amphitheaters. Lawmakers also point to the pre-sale meltdown of Taylor Swift's Eras Tour as an example of how a lack of competition can harm consumers.
Periods of rain and a thunderstorm or two this afternoon, the high not far from 60. Some showers and heavy thunderstorms tonight. Any thunderstorm can produce flooding downpours, hail, and damaging winds, even an isolated tornado, the low 54. A stray morning thunderstorm tomorrow, otherwise mostly cloudy and warmer, high 68. From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk, I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Right now, cloudy, rainy, and 54 degrees in downtown St. Louis. The weather sponsored by Financial and Tax Strategies. I'm Debbie Monterey, KMOX News.
Retirement shouldn't feel like balancing a checkbook while blindfolded. I'm Gary Goldberg, and my team helps you see the big picture so you can retire younger, richer, and with less anxiety. Because guessing is not a strategy. Tune in to Wealth and Wisdom with Gary Goldberg Saturday mornings at 7 here on KMOX.
The Chris and Amy Show on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Have you been to the doctor recently? Perhaps.
It's funny you
Yeah?
mentioned this. I went recently
And
this week.
was AI involved at all?
No, AI didn't touch me once.
Okay.
However, they did ask me to sign a form when I came in, and it was allowing them permission to use AI in the exam, but I don't think they did. But
Yes.
I gave them permission, though.
I also had to consent to our conversation with the doctor being recorded for use for training AI. Well, AI is, I think, more and more prominent in the medical field. And there's a really interesting story from Hadass Gold. She is the CNN AI correspondent about a doctor training AI to do her job. Question mark? Well,
Okay.
we've got a lot of questions, and I'm thrilled to welcome in Hadass Gold. Now, again, she is the CNN AI correspondent. Hadass, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. A lot of people think that I might be an AI-made reporter, but I am a real reporter who covers AI.
Okay.
Oh, you know what? that didn't cross my mind, but you're right. When the CNN AI correspondent, it
Yes.
sounds like
CNN
are the AI.
correspondent on artificial intelligence.
That's right.
That's how you
Exactly.
should go. Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to say the lead here that this doctor is training AI to do her job, and it's a booming business. That lead on CNN scares me. So can you explain a little bit, set the table on what that means? Is she training the AI to be a doctor?
So this is Dr. Alice Chow. She used to actually teach emergency medicine at Stanford University's medical school, and now she spends her days teaching AI. Now, she is part of a growing business. These are businesses where professionals, everything from mechanics to a wine sommelier to an emergency room doctor, will be hired by the biggest AI companies out there to help train their models, because a lot of these models, they learn off of everything that's out there, all the books, all the internet, but they still don't know everything. They need to be trained to know what's a good answer and what's a bad answer. And so people like Dr. Alice Chow, she comes in and she helps train this AI. And what she told me is that what she does is she presents these AIs that she's training with real cases that she's seen in her practice, both from the patient perspective, just saying, hey, I have a sore throat and a headache, what should I do? To the actual notes that a doctor might receive on intake in an emergency room. And then she will help grade the AI's response, how they diagnosed, did they find something that did they tell the patient something they shouldn't have that maybe would have scared the patient? Did they miss something? And that's what she is doing, is training the AI to respond and think like she would. And she has said in some cases, the AI has surprised her. It has thought of things that were smart that she wouldn't have necessarily thought of right away. But she said in general, AI as it stands right now is like a really, really good, first-year medical student who's read every single textbook you could read, who has the book answers but doesn't have those 20 years of clinical experience. And most importantly for doctors, The AI, at least today, they can't look at you and touch you and feel you. And so much of being, in the medical field is about being face to face with a patient, because a lot of doctors will say there's a gut feeling. You'll be sitting there with somebody and their numbers might seem okay, but you're looking at them and you're like, you just don't look good. Let's keep looking.
So if I have this read right, it's not so much that she's asking AI to do her job for her. It's that she knows that people who have used WebMD, for example, and I know she references that people are self-diagnosing, and now they're just going to use AI to do that job. So she wants AI to then be better. Is that really what this all amounts to?
That is one element of it. One element is definitely that more and more people are turning to ChatGPT or other AI systems to help them before they call their doctor. But I think another important element of this that she mentions is that she sees AI as being able to help doctors, whether that be an AI listening to your conversation, the AI is taking notes, and then might actually go to the doctor afterwards and meeting note summary and say, hey, did you see that the patient mentioned that they had pain in their, abdomen for the last 2 weeks? Maybe you should look for this. Kind of just an assistant who will help the doctor. She talked about how so much of doctors' time these days is spent filling out forms and, writing out charts and all of these things. She said most doctors didn't go into medicine because they wanted to, do data entry. They want to treat patients. So she sees this training these AI systems in medicine to then help the doctors when it comes to those types of tasks so that they can have more time face to face with patients.
Yeah, you quote her in your story on CNN.com. She said, I don't want to see it as AI taking over our jobs. I want to see it as AI taking over the aspects of our jobs that prevent us from being good doctors, good healers, and good listeners. So it sounds like if AI can take over some of the busy work, in addition to maybe providing a second voice as a tool, it could be helpful to a more personalized experience.
And I think another really important element of AI in medicine is to also think of two other things. Medical research, like finding new medicines that can treat other diseases. A lot of times people will try to use medicines that are treated for one thing, let's say a heart condition, and then they find out actually it works really well also for this other disease. And a lot of the reasons that they find out is because, all of these studies that are done and finding what sort of, data points correspond with these data points, that takes so much time, but an AI can do that automatically and so much faster. And that's a big element. The other big element of it is like reading scans and tests and things that think of a radiologist. An AI can do that, 24/7, be super fast at reading everything. You don't have to wait as long for results, wait as long to, get a description, get an analysis of your results. And so there are very helpful elements for AI in medicine, and Dr. Chow warned about this, AI is not a doctor. So if you are going to an AI system for help, medical advice, and then the AI chatbots will often say this to you. They say, we are not medical professionals. Go talk to a doctor about this. It can be a good first step, but it should not be your ultimate decision on what you should do in your medical care.
So the way doctors might end up using artificial intelligence, I know one of the biggest concerns with AI is that it will eliminate a lot of jobs, not just the lower level jobs, but some of the more white collar gigs will end up being eliminated as a result of it. Is it different in the medical field, though? Is that really the concern with artificial intelligence in medicine, or is it something different?
There is not as much concern within the medical field about AI kind of taking the place of employees right away. I'm sure that there will be some job displacement at some point, especially in some of the non-clinical facing positions, whether that be, medical transcribers, assistants, things like that. There used to be people who would go with doctors to every appointment and write out the notes and write out what was happening. And that just might not be necessary anymore. And you might see some sort of consolidation where instead of needing, 10 of these people who will look through test results, you only need one person who is managing just a bunch of different AI systems. So that's unlike other fields. When we're looking at software programmers, when we're looking at the legal field, those are places, when you're looking at consultancies, those are places where you are going to see, I think, a huge change where AI systems will be, if not directly replacing jobs. We just saw one company announce they were laying off thousands of people because of AI. Then it will at least maybe mean that they won't need to hire as many people. So maybe they'll keep the same number of staff, but those same people will be expected to do more because they are using the power of AI to help them in their jobs.
And you mentioned that the doctor is helping to train AI through a process called reinforcement learning. Basically, she's able to look at the responses from the AI and the teaching models and grade them and help improve them through trial and error. She's obviously doing this in the medical field, but this is happening across the spectrum, whether it's medicine, law, finance, sports, and so forth.
Yeah, I mean, you can go onto some of these companies, Mercor is one, Scale AI is another, and see what they're actually advertising for, and it's amazing. I've seen even like sports fans, you can get a job and help grade the AI's response on sports things. I mean, they're hiring everything from, like I said, a cardiologist to literally a sommelier, like a wine expert, because if you're talking to an AI and you say, hey, I'm making myself steak and potatoes for dinner, what kind of wine would be good for this? These are my options at the grocery store. You know, you need a sommelier who'd be able to say this is the best option. And so what these people do is it's literally like teaching a student where you give the AI a test, a prompt, you get their response, and then they grade it via a rubric and saying, you did this right, you didn't do this right. And the AI is trained to want to get a good grade. So it's always improving itself. And it is kind of amazing to think that this is a machine and how it's trying to improve itself. And I have to be honest, sometimes some of these AI researchers, they don't always exactly know how and why and what's the exact process as to the answer that the AI chose versus a different answer. It's a little bit of a black box, but they're trying to train it in the right direction.
We have covered a little bit the situation with the Department of Defense and Anthropic, and that I don't know exactly what is going on there. With the, Pete Hegseth has sort of gone after them, and this has been going on for the last couple of weeks. And now OpenAI has gotten involved. And I know this is confusing to a lot of people because what does this all actually mean for the Department of Defense?
So the Department of Defense, or Department of War, as they call themselves, has worked with AI companies for several years, actually. The one key difference is that it's their classified systems. Until recently, Anthropic, which makes the Claude AI system, was the only one that was allowed to be used, those highest level classified systems that we're learning is actually being used, for example, in the operation in Iran as we speak. But recently, the Pentagon went back to Anthropic and said, hey, we want to change our deal with you, our contract with you, to make it so that we can use your AI systems for all lawful uses. Anthropic is known for being a kind of a big on safety, big on AI guardrails. And they said, we want to have two red lines in our contract with you. One is we don't think AI is good enough yet to be used in autonomous weapons. And we are concerned about AI being used in the mass surveillance of American citizens because we just don't think the laws as they stand have caught up with the advancements of AI and what it could do there. The Pentagon didn't agree with that. And they said, we need to be able to make our decisions as we see fit when we're in a war situation. We need to be able to have flexibility with the tools that we need to use. And I think there was also a clash of personalities and politics in all this. And then the Pentagon said, if you don't agree to our terms by last Friday at 5 p.m., we will deem you what's known as a supply chain risk. And that means it's almost like a Pentagon blacklist. That means that any contractor that works with the military can't work with Anthropic as well, essentially. Then President Trump also announced that all federal agencies would have to stop using Anthropic's products within the next 6 months. The same day that the Pentagon essentially blacklisted Anthropic over these guardrails, fight OpenAI, the maker of ChatGPT, they signed on with the Pentagon to be able to use OpenAI systems in those classified systems. Essentially, you could see it as a replacement for Anthropic, although Elon Musk's xAI has also agreed to this. Now, OpenAI says that they did manage to get some language into their contract that they believe have the same red lines. They say they actually share the concerns with Anthropic about autonomous weapons and mass surveillance, and that they believe that they managed to work out a deal with the Pentagon and get that language in there. Now, there has been some debate over that. These contracts are super complicated, super technical. There's a lot of legal debate about where this all stands. But now as it stands, and as far as we understand, Anthropic will be off-boarded from the federal government. Whether they will actually be deemed a supply chain risk, that we haven't seen anything other than the Secretary Pete Hegseth's announcement on that. I don't know whether anything has formally been filed because as far as we know, the Pentagon is still actually using Anthropic's products in this operation with Iran. And that leads to some questions because if something is supposed to be a supply chain risk, that's something usually reserved for companies that are connected to adversaries, to our enemies. And that's why contractors should not be working with them. They are dangerous. how can something be both a supply chain risk and yet you are still using it in such a sensitive and important operation? That's led to a lot of people to say this was just a punitive punishment. This was just the Pentagon trying to punish Anthropic in any way because they were mad about this contract deal. And so they decided to, lash out in this way instead of just saying, okay, no thanks, we just won't sign a contract with you.
Hadas Gold is a CNN correspondent on artificial intelligence. She is not AI herself. She's a real actual person. And the reporting is great. Thank you so much for talking with us today.
Thanks, guys.
Hadas Gold from CNN with us on KMOX. We've got a lot coming up on the show today. Scott Warman will talk a little Cardinals baseball and Missouri Valley Conference. Arch Madness happens this weekend. One of the fun basketball tournaments that always goes on here in St. Louis. He'll join us at 10:30. We are with you until 12 before the Gas House Gang on 104.1 FM KMOX.
If you owe back taxes, listen carefully to rule number 1. Never go up against the IRS alone. They're cracking down, freezing bank accounts, garnishing paychecks, canceling passports. Even your home or business could be at risk. But here's what they don't tell you. The IRS has powerful tax relief programs that could save you thousands if you qualify. That's why smart people call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. Nobody knows these programs like the experts at Optima. Their team of tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $2 billion in tax debt for people just like you. The IRS is not stopping, so don't wait and don't take them on alone. For tax help you need, for tax help you can trust, call Optima today for a free consultation.
Call 800-348-0269. 800-348-0269. 800-348-0269.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Hey, can you blow up some balloons for Jack's party?
I can't. I'm so congested.
You need Sinex Saline from Vicks.
Sinex Saline Nasal Spray?
Yeah, just Sinex. Breathe.
Sinex Saline instantly clears everyday congestion associated with colds and year-round allergies with a gentle, ultra-fine mist that's no mess and easy to control.
Daddy, we need more balloons.
On it.
Enjoy life's important moments without congestion. Try Sinex Saline from Vicks. Just Sinex. Breathe. Use as directed.
It all comes down to this, folks. Yep, the entire season is on the line.
But my throat has officially thrown in the towel.
Sounds like you need Vicks VapoCool drops. They're max strength and vaporize sore throat pain. Whoa! These VapoCool drops hit fast. Speaking of fast, did you just see that play? Yeah, he vaporized that ball. That pun should have come with a penalty.
Vaporize sore throat pain with Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed.
Hola, amigos! Brad Evans here. Check out this booming voice and Pat Boyle on BetMGM tonight, covering the biggest sports stories from coast to coast, live and interactive on the free Odyssey app, discussing NFL offseason news and getting you ready for the madness in college hoops. BetMGM tonight with me, Brad Evans and Pat Boyle, live and interactive, Monday through Friday night, starting at 6 Eastern, presented by BetMGM. Always live on the free Odyssey app and watch on YouTube at BetMGM tonight.
If you need a new appliance, this is your sign. Shop at Lowe's now to get up to 35% off and next-day delivery on hundreds of major appliances. A new appliance now means an easier-to-do list later. Our best lineup is at Lowe's. Valid through 3/18 while supplies last. Selection varies by location. Order by 4 p.m. Available Monday through Saturday. Subject to availability. Fees, exclusions, and restrictions apply. See Lowes.com/appliance delivery for more details.
You can feel the Clydesdales circling the field. Hear the stands come alive. Smell the hot dogs, the popcorn, and cold beer in the air. See the crowd rise as the first pitch hits the glove. And just like that, a new season begins. The countdown is on until opening day, and tickets start at just $49. Don't miss St. Louis's favorite holiday. Get your tickets at cardinals.com/opening day.
This season, step up to the ultimate game day experience with Cardinals all-inclusive tickets. Enjoy a full buffet, complimentary bar, and unbeatable views inside Busch Stadium. It's great food with great company for every pitch, hit, and home run. Choose your experience in the Budweiser 703 Club, UMB Champions Club, Professional Red Jacket Club, and more. See the game like a VIP with all-inclusive tickets. On sale now at cardinals.com/tickets.
The Builders St. Louis Home and Garden Show returns to America Center March 6th through 8th.
Shop hundreds of local companies for home improvement deals.
Come to our amazing outdoor living space.
Find ideas, inspiration, and expert advice.
Details at stlhomeshow.com.
A century strong. The voice of St. Louis. KMOX.
You know how we talked yesterday about Polymarket and these prediction markets, which is different than just regular old gambling and betting, and how Polymarket saw $530 million betting on war, and specifically whether or not the United States would attack Iran. Well, it's really interesting. If you haven't read the story in the New York Times about the anonymous bettors who were able to cash in before the Iran strike, you need to read it, because they cashed in, Ranj, hours before it actually happened, before the United States and Israel launched their attack on Iran. And what's crazy is that a New York Times analysis of the Polymarket data looked over that entire period and saw that it was very uncommon for someone to bet a significant sum of money that a U.S. strike would happen by the next day. This is a quick turnaround for a Polymarket bet.
Right.
But over the course of last Friday, the day before the attack, more than 150 accounts placed hundreds of bets of at least $1,000 correctly predicting an American strike on Iran by Saturday. So this last-minute betting totaled $855,000. And they're looking at the data, they're looking at the charts, and they're saying, this looks like somebody knew something was going to happen, and a handful of people decided, we're going to make some good cash on it. At least 16 accounts that placed bets on Friday predicting a strike by Saturday, each ultimately profited by over $100,000. At least 109 accounts made over $10,000. And they're saying it is so unlikely. Like, even Polymarket forecasted a strike by Saturday as very unlikely. And it's such an unusual surge of activity to see these new accounts pop up and place a ton of money that the strike's going to happen in hours.
Well,
Jim, okay. I mean, the whole where there's smoke, there's fire. And the fact that we know there are loose lips around Washington, specifically around this administration. If I were a betting man, ironically, I would bet that somebody had insider information and they decided we're going to make some money on this.
So
it's naive to think otherwise.
Yeah, it's pretty bad, right? And there's even, if you go to Polymarket, you can literally bet on just about anything. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you can imagine it, there's a really good chance it is on Polymarket. It is unlike a sports book where there are very specific things that you can bet on. They are heavily regulated. You can't just bet on anything. I mean, you can go offshore and you can find sillier bets than if you go through an American company, but Polymarket is absolutely a free-for-all. It's a Wild West. They had a bet that was up from the beginning of February,
mm-hmm.
and it was the U.S. strikes Iraq by February 28th. On February 27th, yes was at a 1.6. By February the 28th, the following day at 9 a.m, it was up to 60%.
Yeah.
So, of course, we did. And the bet was, would we strike anywhere on Iraqi soil, which we did. If it was a drone strike, anything. And we did do that. So it's a little alarming that people appear to have had some kind of inside information on this. And I'm sorry, but I don't trust. It's not everybody in the administration, but there are a lot of people within the administration, whether it is in the White House or in the Department of Defense or anywhere else in higher levels, there are some people I just simply do not trust to hold on to this information and not find a way to cash in on it, because you got a lot of people that I would be stunned if they didn't try to do this.
So remember the 60 Minutes segment interview on Polymarket from last November? 60 Minutes interviewed Shane Copeland, who's the founder of Polymarket. And he was asked about, well, if you can bet on anything, aren't people going to use the equivalent of insider information to gain an edge on the market? And he said, quote, "It's sort of an inevitability that this will happen. There's a lot of benefits from it." That's what he said. Now, Senator Chris Murphy, he's a Democrat of Connecticut. He has criticized prediction markets as, quote, insane and unethical. He did say that he thinks the unusual betting on the Iran strike suggested that even decision makers might have had a stake in the outcome, though he acknowledged there was no public evidence of misconduct by any officials. But that's where, I mean, we are talking a next level that's beyond insider trading.
And so just let me give you an idea of what Polymarket is as we go to break here. That, as I said, you can bet on just about anything. Elon Musk has a partnership with Polymarket. X has a partnership. Twitter has a partnership with Polymarket. There is a market for the number of tweets that Elon Musk will send between March 2nd and today, March 4th. And it's less than 40 or between 40 and 64. You can bet on that. You're going to tell me that Elon isn't aware of that and isn't going to find ways or tell people to cash in on that and say, oh, I'm going to send a few more tweets here, or I'm going to hold back my tweets. You think he's not going to do that? It's absolute madness, but it is a Wild West for sure. We're going to talk to Scott Warman when we come back, because we are ahead of the Blues trade deadline that is coming up on Friday, the NHL trade deadline. The Blues are probably going to be active, we think. Cardinals in spring training. Arch Madness starts this week. Scott Warman will join us from Cardinals TV next on KMOX.
Start your day with an edge.
Total Information AM.
It's like breakfast for your brain.
I wake up, I turn on the news.
I gotta listen 3 or 4 times every day.
Debbie Monterey, Megan Lynch, Tom Ackerman.
I like to wake up with the news.
Total Information AM.
It's where I get my news.
Traffic conditions and potential weather that's coming.
Total Information AM. Weekdays 5 to 9.
I like to turn it on and just get caught up.
Where I get my news. The news, weather, and traffic.
On the voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
Hey guys, Glover here for my friends at Universal Windows Direct. March is that time of year when a lot of us start thinking about fresh starts, spring cleaning, that kind of stuff. If you are in the market for replacement windows, here's the deal from Universal. When you buy 2 windows, you get 2 for free with no limit, 24 months with no payments and no interest, giving you 2 full years to enjoy the comfort before paying a dime. $500 bonus off your home improvement project, 314-334-20 or universalwindowsdirect.com.
Now, KMOX weather from the Salika Heating and Cooling Weather Desk.
I think it's going to look like this the rest of the day. Breezy, cloudy, periods of rain and thunderstorms. Not as cold, though. It's 53 degrees right now and a high today of 59. Be careful tonight. There could be heavy thunderstorms, which could bring flooding downpours, hail, and damaging wind gusts.
Weather sponsored by Renner Garage Door, forward and back, RENNER.
Cardinal Cowboy here. Renner Garage Door has you covered. Renner's been turning garage doors from zero to hero since 1966. RennerDoorSTL.com.
RENNER.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
Okay, class, let's begin.
Psst, love your boots. I just sold a pair like that on eBay.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it took like 2 seconds to list and they sold almost immediately. I've been selling everything lately. Some chunky boots, a faux fur coat I never wore, and a vintage chair that was more of an expensive clothing rack.
You know, I actually bought these on eBay. Wait, are you Kitty Sell Stuff from Brooklyn?
Okay, quiet, please.
Find what you love, sell what you don't. eBay. Things people love.
This is the story of the one. As a procurement manager for a hospital system,
she keeps every facility in her network stocked and ready. That's why she counts on Grainger to be her single source for thousands of products, from disinfectants to lighting, air filters, and more. And with fast, dependable delivery, Grainger helps her keep every facility stocked, safe, and running smoothly. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hey guys, Kevin Wheeler here for FanDuel Sportsbook, the official sportsbook of KMOX. It's college basketball season. It's been phenomenal. And look, college basketball is just nonstop, big games, tight spreads, momentum swings every night. And now FanDuel is giving you a way to turn that energy into even bigger wins with a college basketball parlay profit boost. So here's how it works. Build any college hoops parlay that you like. The early tip, the rivalry game, the ranked matchup, the late night West Coast shootout, whatever it is. You can mix spreads, totals, props, whatever fits your read on that slate. And then just apply your profit boost and instantly bump that potential payout. So go safe. You can do that. You can go spicy, get hot, get in there. Go with the team that you've been following all year. Pick a new one. Doesn't matter. Just go to FanDuel.com/Missouri to get yourself started. FanDuel, play your game. Remember, you must be 21 or older and present in Missouri. Opt-in required. Minimum 2-leg parlay required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable boost builder tokens. Restrictions to apply, including any token expiration and max wager amount. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. And if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
It's men's Billikens basketball action tonight as they take to the court against Loyola. Pregame 6:45, tip at 7 on your home for Billikens basketball, KMOX.
Chris and Amy show on KMOX. Gas House Gang is at 12 today. We hope you will stick around for that. Right now, as the Cardinals' regular season is on the way, we are just over 3 weeks away from it. In fact, tomorrow, it will be 3 weeks before opening day here in St. Louis. They will have the Tampa Bay Rays in town. We have studio analyst with Cardinals TV, Scott Warman, on the show. How's it going, Scott?
It's going well. Is Amy behaving today, or are you trying to...
She is.
Are
you in a waterfall? Where are you?
Are you in the
Scott,
mall sitting by the fountain?
Scott, it sounds like you were in the middle of a waterfall.
I'm at the Enterprise Center for the Valley Basketball Tournament, talking to some of the teams before we get ready for this weekend.
Oh.
And this is about the quietest part I could get when I was talking to Frank.
What do you want to... Are you on a speakerphone? What are you doing, Scott?
No, I'm just on my phone, buddy.
You know,
Oh, my gosh.
you know how malls used to have fountains?
Yeah.
And it sounds like Scott's sitting on the edge of the fountain doing this interview at the mall.
Scott is throwing pennies into the fountain. He's making wishes.
I need all the wishes I can get. Right? That's all I can say.
Hey, Scott.
All right.
So we're getting close to the baseball season. So let's talk about this Cardinals team. You know, they have made some moves. They are a little bit different. They've given Ollie Marmol a contract extension through 28 and potentially 29 if the team wants to pick it up. So let's get your state of the team, and don't say Missouri.
Missouri.
Yeah, or Missouri. That's right.
State of the team is transition. I mean, it's a rebuild. Whatever phrase you want to use it, that's what we're going through, and it's an unusual situation that we have here in St. Louis because we've been blessed with great baseball for so many years. But that's where we're at. I'm really kind of curious, and we're seeing a little bit early on in spring training, and as this thing continues through spring training in Florida is, what we're going to see from the maturation process from some of these young guys getting, as we mentioned last year, runways. There's going to be even more runways. Alex Burleson playing over at first base. Is Ivan Herrera going to get a lot of time behind home plate, or he's going to be predominantly a designated hitter? J.J. Weatherholder, I know, is tops on everyone's list, whether you're media or you're a fan or me. I'm excited to watch this kid play because apparently he has the sky's the limit as far as his talent is concerned, and guys that have been there before. Nolan Gorman now is going to get his opportunity now that Arenado's gone over at third base. So this is just an opportunity, and it's an opportunity to see what Chaim Bloom has as he tries to direct this thing back to championship baseball in the next, hopefully 2, 3, 4 years. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, so this is it's a fascinating season, even though it may not end up resulting in a bunch of wins here. And we were talking about that, how a lot of prognosticators have said this team will win under 70. Fangraphs has them at 75. So it's, as you look at that, and we did on the Gas House Gang yesterday talk about the possibility they could even be a 500 team, if things go really well for them. I mean, how would you project that as we get closer to the season?
500 is a possibility if everything goes right. I mean, Chris, to be honest with you, the way I look at it is, let's look at the teams within the Central Division. And I apologize, I didn't hear what you and the guys were breaking down yesterday. But to me, I think I know I'm in the doghouse again. So I really believe that this is a very strong Central Division, and the team I think is just the sky's the limit, especially if Connor Griffin, this 19-year-old phenom, makes his team as the Pittsburgh Pirates. I think they're a team to be reckoned with, especially with Skeens leading what should be one of the better rotations in the league. But you also have, the Cubs that are very good. You have Milwaukee, who's always consistently good. And you also have a team in Cincinnati who, like Pittsburgh, has a lot of young talent that's going to get this opportunity. So to me, that's the biggest wall to me that the Cardinals are facing this year as they go through this rebuild, is the fact that they're also facing the situation that they're facing some teams within the division, most teams who are very strong. And obviously you play your divisional teams more than anybody else in the league, even though we play everybody now in Major League Baseball. And I think that's the biggest thing that the Cardinals have to overcome this year, is just the strength of the schedule within the Central Division. And that's not just to be honest with you, Chris, just to talk about, this year in 2026, because again, between Pittsburgh especially, as well as Cincinnati, it looks like they have some young talent on the mound and on the field that they're going to be a tough opponent to deal with for the next couple of years as the Cardinals try to get themselves back up to winning baseball in the Central Division and in the National League.
Scott, the NHL trade deadline is 2 p.m. on Friday, and the
Is
Blues.
It really?
You're never going to believe it, but it is.
Are they talking trades? I didn't hear anything. I don't know.
I've not heard any team mentioned more than the St. Louis Blues across the board. And Darren Dreger did tweet early this morning that St. Louis and
Was that
Buffalo,
when you were doing your 26 miles this morning?
It was while I was running, with my headlamp on like a nerd. That St. Louis and Buffalo, they came pretty close on trade talks. They went deep into discussions, but ultimately the Sabres did not want to part with everything the Blues were asking for, and the Blues understandably want a lot for Thomas. But what is your take on where we stand right now with this team, potential trades? Because I think for me, the biggest names, Robert Thomas, Jordan Binnington, perhaps the name that makes the most sense is a Justin Falk. What are you hearing?
I will tell you what I heard from mutual friends of ours that last week, it would be shocking if the Blues at least don't have a couple of trades before that 2:00 deadline you're talking about, Aim, on Friday. As far as players are concerned, spoke to someone else, I guess it was late last week. And, there's been a lot of talk, Braden Shin, as you mentioned, Justin Falk, maybe Binnington. But the real heavy conversation at that point, this was last Friday, is exactly what you're talking about, Robert Thomas. And, everything I can gather is, as they say, there's smoke, there's fire. But unless you're going to give the Blues / Doug Armstrong and Alexander Steen exactly what they want for a guy like a Robert Thomas specifically at 26 years of age, you've got 5 more years left on his contract with, the salary cap going up now in the National Hockey League, that, this is probably a good buy at $8+ million for a 1 or 2 center who can play both ends of the ice. That, they're not going to back down. They want what they want. And if not, well, they'll just keep Robert Thomas. And I think that's an accurate story. I'm not downplaying what they're saying, because those guys obviously are very well connected, but could those conversations with Buffalo or other teams spark back up before Friday at 2:00? Absolutely. There's no doubt about it. I think I was just here at the Enterprise Center, and some of the people working here were asking me, and I'm like, it seems obvious. And again, this is no insider knowledge, but to me, there's so many teams that are looking for a right-hand defenseman, that Justin Falk seems to be one of the more obvious choices, I would think, that they would go out and try to deal. But again, it's like anything else, baseball, football, basketball, hockey. It takes two sides to make a deal, and somebody's not going to give you something you want, then you just kind of walk away. As far as the Binnington deal is concerned, I was told that they felt as if the Binnington deal, if he was going to be dealt by the Blues, would probably more than likely be this summer than leading into the trade deadline coming up on Friday. But that doesn't mean something can materialize at the last minute, but that's what I've been told.
Scotty, on Robert Thomas, as we mentioned, the last team we've been talking about, the Buffalo Sabres, but the first team that surfaced with Thomas was the Utah Mammoth, obviously within our division, but the general manager of the Utah Mammoth is Bill Armstrong, who drafted Robert Thomas. They have that good relationship. If the Blues were to make a trade within their own division, would it stand to reason that they would ask even more from the Mammoth than they wanted from the Sabres?
I would think so, but Bill Armstrong of Utah and Doug Armstrong of St. Louis, those guys have worked together for such a long period of time that, I think they know what the ins and outs are. And I think Army knows most of these guys since he's been around the block for such a long period of time as GM and or president of hockey operations. So, yeah, I would think, again, the asking price, I don't be honest with you, Amy, I don't care who it is. It could be Utah, it could be Edmonton, or even Detroit Red Wings, honestly, have been one of the teams that have been mentioned too. Stevie Yzerman, the GM of the Red Wings, might have a lot of interest in Robert Thomas, and rightly so. But I think the asking price, and it seems to be consistent with all the reports out there, and I don't deem that they're wrong, is the fact that the Blues are looking for some high-end stuff because, Thomas is hitting the prime of his career. So if you get that, again, along with the contract situation, they're going to ask for a lot. And Utah has a lot of money that they can spend. They're so far under the cap. They have a lot of young prospects that them, along with Buffalo, seem to be two of the teams that would make sense for the Blues if they're kind of going in the direction a la the Cardinals and looking more forward to, 2, 3, 4 years down the line of being more of a playoff player, if you will, in the NHL.
Scott Warman, tomorrow, the beginning of one of my favorite events in St. Louis every year, and that is the Missouri Valley Tournament, also known as Arch Madness. You're going to be on call for Indiana State Valparaiso, and this is a tournament that as I said, I've been coming to it, over the last 30 years.
Really?
I've yeah. I think I've skipped
even after Illinois State. You still came down?
Yeah.
Oh,
I did.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man, I love it. And there've been some years that I've missed. I'll be there this weekend. Redbirds are the number 3 seed. They'll play Friday night. But yeah, I love this tournament, Scott. It's awesome you're a part of it. As we get close to it, I have a conflict though because I really want the Billikens to get into the tournament, and there's a possibility they don't win their conference. And if somebody other than Belmont wins Arch Madness, then that means that's one spot that's not available for the Billikens, because you might have another team that's going to take over that at-large bid. However, I am very much rooting for Illinois State to get into the tournament. And
of course you are.
Yeah. Well, they have not been since I was a senior in college.
That's right.
Yeah, I don't know what to do here. I want the Bills in, but I want, the Redbirds to win. How do I look at this?
Well, I would think barring something that probably the Valley, like most mid-majors, are one-bid leagues. And there's no perfect example of basically where we're at in college basketball. And if you're a mid-major conference, then when Josh Schertz was the head coach of the Indiana State Sycamores 2 years ago, and they lost to Drake in the championship game here at Arch Madness. And they had, I think their net ranking was 20-something or something like that, because they were actually ranked, just like the Bills have been.
Yep.
And they got left out. And they wound up making the championship game of the NIT, which was a great story. But even a lot of the, national pundits, so to speak, were very critical of that move. And I have no doubt in my mind, to be honest with you, Ron, to get off the Valley thing for a second, is the fact that I'm sure in the back of Josh's mind, he remembers that because it's only 2 years ago. And again, the A-10 is a terrific conference. They're 1 ahead or 2 ahead of conference net compared to the Missouri Valley Conference. But I'm sure Josh is instilling in those Billikens, hey, man, we can't take anything for granted because this happened to us, and Robbie Avila was a part of that team with the Sycamores a couple of years ago. That's got to be in the back of his mind. As far as the Valley is concerned, if Belmont winds up losing this tournament, it would be a shame, but I don't think the percentages are on the Valley side for getting 2 teams in the tournament, which is a shame because Belmont is an exceptional ball club. I mean, they've got all the parts, man. They've got bigger, stronger. They realize, and you know this, Chris, the Valley is a very aggressive. You got to be a strong team, very physical, unlike a lot of other conferences until you get to the Power Four. And Casey Alexander's I think he's going to be the coach of the year in the Valley. He's made the adjustment from the Ohio Valley Conference, but it is wide open. Illinois State was the preseason favorites. They have a heck of a ball club. Your team does. Bradley, of course, one of your other favorite teams. They have they have a heck of a
Bradley.
team. But I'm going to tell you what. This game that I have the Valparaiso against Indiana State. Valpo is playing some great basketball, and they are sneaky good. They made it to the semifinals last year, and I'm telling you what, that potential Bradley-Valpo matchup in the quarterfinals before Illinois State's game, that could be quite a doozy of a basketball game coming up on Friday night here at the Enterprise Center.
I always root for the Valley in the NCAA tournament, no matter who gets in, even if it is Bradley. I'm a Valley guy, so I always root for that tournament, for them in the tournament, and every win is great for the conference.
I did a ton of games with your boy Danny Muller this year.
My guy, Dan Muller, former head coach. He was 1 year ahead of me in college, and he was the head coach for a while at ISU. That was one of those old moments. You know, the old moments and one of them was when a guy who was 1 year in front of me in college became the head coach of the team. I thought, oh my God, I'm really getting up there. That's how I felt.
Trust me, I get it, dude.
Scott, we appreciate you. Thanks.
All right, guys.
Scott Warman from Cardinals TV and calling Arch Madness games this weekend as well. And yes, the last time Illinois State was in the tournament, Dan Muller was on the team. That's how long it's been. Come on, boys, do something. College basketball, it is nonstop. It is heartbreaking. It is awesome. It is fun. And now FanDuel is giving you a way to turn that energy into even bigger wins with a college basketball parlay profit boost. So here's how it works. You build any college hoops parlay you like, use the early tip, rivalry game, the ranked matchup. Then you mix the spreads, totals, props, whatever fits your read on the slate for that night, and then just apply your profit boost and instantly bump that potential payout. Go safe, go bold. However you want to play it, you can do it with FanDuel. FanDuel.com/Missouri. That's FanDuel.com/Missouri. FanDuel, play your game. Must be 21 or over and present in Missouri. Opt-in required. Minimum 2-leg parlay required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable boost builder tokens. Restrictions apply, including any token expiration and max wager amounts. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Looking for your dream home in Wentzville? Welcome to Sutton Farms by Lombardo Homes, where community and comfort come together. Enjoy resort-style living with a private clubhouse, indoor courts, a splash pad, sand volleyball, walking trails, and even a dog park. Design your own custom home in our Parkside, Nature, or Tradition series, all within the top-rated Wentzville School District. Discover the perfect blend of small-town charm and modern convenience at Sutton Farms, located off Piney Road in Wentzville. Visit LombardoHomes.com to learn more.
Straight Realty has always been an industry leader when it comes to commissions, so it should come as no surprise that the recent Realtor settlement has only empowered us to continue offering our sellers even better rates. We now list homes for only 2%. Hi, I'm Christina Straight, owner of Straight Realty. Call me, 314-441-4444. Why pay more than 2? You can also listen to my podcast on my website, straightrealty.com.
Commissions are not regulated and are negotiable. Straight Realty is a licensed broker in the state of Missouri.
St. Louis, get ready. One of the most powerful voices in country music is coming to the Dome at America's Center on March 7th. Zach Bryan, live in concert.
It'll be fun about those clouds, I'm telling you, baby.
With the songs you know by heart.
You can see now.
One night, one stage, an unforgettable night of raw, honest music. Tickets available now at Ticketmaster.com. For more information, KMOX.com/events.
Nothing makes a gathering great like Eggland's Best Eggs. They're just so delicious with better nutrition, too. For us, it's eggs any style, as long as they're the best. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
One of life's greatest mysteries has finally been solved.
Who let the dogs out?
It's spruce, the weed and grass killer that's safe for use around people, pets, and bees. When used as directed, spray the leaves for visible results in just 1 hour and dead weeds in just 1 day. You spray, they play. Spruce, pet friendly, weed deadly. Find wherever weed killers are sold.
Hey, John, why so glum?
I just got let go. The company's downsizing. This is the third time in the last 2 years. I'm done with this.
Have you thought about My Computer Career? I've heard they can train you for a career in IT in just a few months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI. And you don't need prior training or experience. Now that's a recession-resistant career.
Wow, thanks. I'll check them out.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. Mycomputercareer.edu, an Elite CompTIA certification partner. Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including VA benefits. Wesley is a truck driver.
I drive a truck and I love what I do.
A truck driver with IRS troubles.
They told me I owed them $43,000.
It got really bad.
Quite a few letters in the mail. They were talking about wage garnishment coming after my house, my car. Yeah, they don't play around. I seriously thought that I was going to lose everything.
One sleepless night, Wesley finally made a call to Optima Tax Relief at 2 a.m.
Kind of figured I'd get a machine, but I didn't. I actually got to talk to an actual person in the middle of the night.
He found just what he was looking for.
Oh, they were great people. You need a team of people that know what they're doing. Optima Tax, they know what they're doing.
Optima Tax Relief came through with flying colors.
I saved an incredible amount of money. Happy don't even come close. I was absolutely overjoyed.
Take Wesley's advice.
If you're in any kind of trouble with the IRS, call Optima Tax Relief. Don't trust anybody else.
Call Optima for a free consultation. Call 800-348-0269. 800-348-0269. 800-348-0269.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. We recently received a call from an injured person. The insurance company had offered them $11,000. We took the case over and got more than $2 million in court. Morgan & Morgan.
Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
The Chris and Amy Show on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
All right, we're going to have tickets to give away to see Zach Bryan, but not right now. Before the show is over, we will give you an opportunity, and you must be listening for your chance to win. He is performing Saturday at the Dome at America Center, and AEG has given us tickets to give away to you. Not to you, Amy, but to you,
and not
the listener.
Now, for crying out loud.
Yes, they know. At least I hope they know, but sometimes I'm not so sure.
All right, so do we have a weatherman issue? What's going on?
We do have a weatherman problem. So I was listening to a report from Michael Calhoun this morning. Calhoun, when I say it like that. Michael Calhoun this morning, and was talking about the budget issues in St. Louis County, and he provided some sound from Executive Sam Page. They're talking about the budget shortfall and so on and so forth. And, Page is saying, we need more money. I'm paraphrasing. And then Councilman Mark Harder said this. Yes.
County Councilman Mark Harder fires back, quote, like most weathermen, Sam Page is lucky to get 50% of his forecasts right and still keep his job, end quote.
Well, it's a direct shot at weathermen. They are taking stray bullets here. This was a county council fight.
Oh. So
and a Sam Page fight.
So what was that again about the weatherman? What did
Well, I'm going to play the full audio for you. It's going to include Sam Page's forecast for the budget, and then Michael Calhoun reports after that.
The budget forecast calls for a budget that will collapse by the end of the year if we don't have significant service reductions.
County Councilman Mark Harder fires back, quote, like most weathermen, Sam Page is lucky to get 50% of his forecasts right and still keep his job, end quote.
So we're going to talk to an AccuWeather meteorologist, Carrie Schwindenhammer.
Yeah, because they're taking stray bullets.
At 11:15, because I mean, Mark Harder is absolutely wrong about that. I know that's like a popular thing to say about weather. They don't know, just a flip a coin. They don't know what they're talking about. Yes, they do. Don't be a dope about it. We're going to talk to AccuWeather meteorologist Carrie Schwindenhammer at 11:15. We're going to get her thoughts on what Mark Harder had to say.
Yikes.
Hour 3 of the Chris and Amy Show is coming up next on KMOX.
Hey guys, Glover here with my friends at Michael's Baths. Were you feeling a little embarrassed when the family came to visit for the holidays and all you could think about was your bathroom not quite being up to par? Now is the perfect time to plan ahead for a spring installation of a beautiful new bathroom. At Michael's Baths, we specialize in beautiful, safe bathroom remodels from tub to shower conversions to full renovations, including paint and electrical work. Call 636-775-0800 or go to michaelsbaths.com. Mike is a great guy, does great work. That's michaelsbaths.com.
Attention business owners with a net income over $500,000. You need to work with a tax strategist that understands your entrepreneurial mindset. Download the most recent white paper written by E3 Consultants Group titled The Power of a Professional Tax Strategy Team. Go to e3wealth.com/radio to obtain a copy. It's time to learn about wealth and tax strategies that protect your personal and business economy. E3 is ready to help you think differently about your finances. Educate, empower, enlighten. That's the E3 difference.
You know that Big Bargain detergent jug is 80% water, right? It doesn't clean as well.
80% water? I thought I was getting a better deal because it's so big.
If you want a better clean, Tide Pods are only 12% water. The rest is pure, concentrated cleaning ingredients.
Oh, let me make an announcement.
Attention shoppers, if you want a real deal, try Tide Pods.
Stop paying for watered-down detergents. Pay for clean. If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Pods. Water content based on the leading bargain liquid detergent.
At LendSeek, we know running a business takes heart, hustle, and sometimes a little help. That's why we stand with you with our exclusive AI lending platform, connecting you to over 100 funders. If you've been in business for at least 2 years with a minimum annual revenue of $500,000, you can get up to $1 million in funding in as fast as 24 hours. No collateral, no prepayment penalties, no red tape. Apply today with no cost or obligation at lendseek.com. That's LENDSEEK.com.
I'm Bob Burke, founder and chairman of Burke America Parts Group, a family of brands that includes RepairClinic.com, an appliance and HVAC parts solution company that's grown into an international brand. Before AmericanEagle.com, we partially launched a new technology platform developed by another firm. American Eagle helped take our technology to a whole new level with digital marketing, software development, and business insights into our key markets, appliances, HVAC, and outdoor power equipment, and did so both on time and on budget. AmericanEagle.com has the resources, experience, and talent needed to produce solutions. Our new technology platform, developed by AmericanEagle.com, has produced tremendous results with higher traffic, conversion, engagement, and online revenue. If you have any home repairs you need to take care of, check us out at RepairClinic.com. If you need a world-class website or technology project, then I would highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Call AmericanEagle.com at 773-NETWORK. That's AmericanEagle.com, 773-NETWORK.
The trusted voice of St. Louis. KMOX AM St. Louis. KMOX FM Hazelwood. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
It is 11 o'clock. It's cloudy, just kind of gloomy right now in downtown St. Louis. It is 57 degrees. I'm Debbie Monterey. If you are waiting right now to hear today's statewide tornado drill siren sound, don't worry, it's been canceled. The National Weather Service St. Louis office says that weather officials can't rule out severe storms around the 11 o'clock hour, so they don't want to confuse anyone. That 11 a.m. statewide drill will not be rescheduled. The FAA is meeting with airlines today about capping the number of flights at Chicago O'Hare for the summer. CBS News senior transportation correspondent Chris Van Cleve.
The FAA decided this was necessary because the schedule at Chicago O'Hare had ballooned above what the FAA says the airport can handle as far as the number of daily arrivals and departures looking at summer 2026.
Van Cleve says this was happening because of an escalating turf war between United and American Airlines. And part of the reason has to do with the leases at that airport that are tied to how much an airline flies. If you don't fly enough, you risk losing gates to an airline that flies more. Texas Democratic State Representative James Tallarico has defeated Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, while longtime Republican Senator John Cornyn will face a runoff against State Attorney General Ken Paxton because none of the Republican candidates topped 50% of the vote. CBS News senior political correspondent Ed O'Keefe.
Early polling shows Tallarico could defeat Paxton in November. That's the nightmare scenario for Republicans. Remember, Democrats haven't won a statewide race in the Lone Star State since back in 1994.
Scientists say coastal sea levels may be rising faster than previously thought, meaning more people could be at risk from flooding in the years ahead. David Schechter is a national environmental correspondent.
New research in the journal Nature finds most studies lowballed coastal sea levels by about a foot on average worldwide and up to 3 feet higher than assumed in parts of the global south, including Southeast Asia and the Pacific.
Maryville University announcing a new men's ice hockey program. The school announcing the launch of the NCAA Division I team today, which will make its debut during the 2027-28 school year. Maryville says its existing club hockey programs will remain untouched, making the Division I team the school's 6th hockey team. The university says it secured additional funding for significant facility upgrades. From the KMOX business desk, Apple CEO Tim Cook promising a big week of product announcements, including the introduction of a new budget-friendly iPhone 17e, a new entry-level MacBook Neo, updated iPad Air models, refresh monitors, and higher-end chipsets. They were all on display at a hands-on media event today in New York, London, and Shanghai.
This afternoon will be cloudy with rain and a thunderstorm or two, the high 60. Some showers and heavy thunderstorms tonight. They can be severe with damaging wind gusts, hail, flooding downpours, even an isolated tornado, the low 54. A leftover shower or thunderstorm early tomorrow. Otherwise, mostly cloudy and warmer, the high 68. From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk, I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM KMOX.
It is overcast and 57 degrees downtown. I'm Debbie Monterey, KMOX News.
Chris Ronchi, Amy Marks Kors. The Chris and Amy Show on 104.1 FM KMOX. Time to look back at the way we were with Chris and Amy on KMOX.
So we've been doing, I don't know, a little, you could call it a throwback, where we have looked at old political speeches or interactions or engagements with politicians from years past. There was a pretty funny one with Barack Obama and Senator John McCain during their campaign season. Well, this time we have former President George W. Bush talking about an interaction, his interaction, one of them, with Vladimir Putin. This is from the Ellen Show, correct? This is not from an official state dinner. He's on the Ellen Show.
I introduced Putin to Barney. You remember Barney, the little Scottish Terrier?
Yes.
The little guy had legs, and he kind of dissed him. He looked at him like, "You think that's a dog?" Anyway, so a year later, Putin says, "Would you like to meet my dog?" Laura and I were with Putin in his dacha outside of Moscow. I said, "Yeah, I'd like to meet him." And out comes a giant hound, kind of loping across the Birch Line yard. And Putin looks at me and says, "Bigger, stronger, and faster than Barney." And, it speaks volumes when you listen to what somebody says. And so, in other words, he's got a chip on his shoulder.
Yep.
And so, I had a contentious relationship with him. And I think whoever the president is going to find out that Putin will push and push and push until somebody stands up to him.
Yeah.
I just want to note, there's a lot to unpack here, but the fact that Vladimir Putin, an autocrat who runs his country like a dictator, former KGB agent who thinks that the worst thing that ever happened in world history is the fall of the Soviet Union, met the dog of the president of the United States, met Barney, and was so petty and has such a chip on his shoulder, has such little man syndrome, such low self-esteem that like a year later, he still remembered and said, "Now you want to meet my dog? Bigger and better than Barney."
You know what it sounds like?
Yes, I do.
If he had a dog, this is what it would sound like.
It did. That's what it reminded me of. So in that sense, there is definitely some synergy. But we've talked about this. Donald Trump is not shy about his admiration for autocrats and dictators, and whether it be Kim Jong-un or Vladimir Putin, and just this strong man, not because he's a fascist. There are college professors who can't necessarily define the aspects of fascism versus, other types of totalitarian leadership. But it's not that he's a fascist, it's that he's a mob boss. He wants to be the big strong man, and totally went on a tangent here when we should have been talking about Putin, but it reminded me of it. But Putin, has that same mentality where he's always trying to prove himself as a man. So even his dog matters.
Well, yes. And what is striking about it is the way that former president talks about Vladimir Putin, which is kind of the way we all should. And that's not really being done right now. Is that there seems to be more of a kinship than anything else, more of an admiration almost. And it's, I don't think that a great humanity, which I think is really important in that position.
Well,
it doesn't mean he's not making mistakes on decisions and starting wars that we shouldn't have gotten involved in and ended up costing thousands of lives and trillions of dollars. Yeah, big problem. But at least the man has a little humanity.
Well, and I think also he just quite simply understood that it's weird for a leader, for anybody, but especially a leader of a country, to be so obsessed with, I'm the strong one. My dog is bigger. My hair is better.
It's so
My
weird.
arm is stronger. I am taller. My son is taller. You're taller. We're like a child.
That's literally what you do on a playground.
In a schoolyard is trying to assert dominance by saying everything I do is better. And George W. Bush, love him or hate it, recognized that it's weird and it's juvenile. And I do think we're in an environment right now where a lot of our politicians are leaning into the bro mode / schoolyard child mode that my car is bigger and it's faster and my dad's cooler than your dad and my house is bigger, my toilet's more gold.
My toilet is more gold.
I have golder toilets than you do. At any rate, it's I bet a lot of people didn't expect to look so fondly back on George W.
No, but no, I think you're right.
You know what? They always do though. Who would you rather get a beer with, as a president? And I do think George W. Bush would be a fun guy to get a beer with as a president and
so,
just chat with.
But to go along with what you're talking about, you have Pete Hegseth, who this morning talking about the military campaign, and it strikes me. What you're saying strikes me because of what he said this morning. And this is his quote: flying over their capital, death and destruction from the sky all day long. We're playing for keeps. Our war fighters have maximum authorities granted personally by the president and yours truly. Our rules of engagement are bold, precise, and designed to unleash American American power, not shackle it. This was never meant to be a fair fight, and it is not a fair fight. We are punching them while they're down, which is exactly how it should be. Like, all right, it's fine. It's the tone, it's the tone of we are bigger and stronger. Like, we know that. We know we're bigger and stronger. You don't have to talk like this. It's almost like he was really getting off on it today.
Well,
just talk like, this is my military. Look at what my military is doing.
Yes. And I mean, and Pete Hegseth is very much into, the appearances. It's why they're always trying to do push-ups or they're always shirtless. I think, with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and Kid Rock being shirtless in their Get Healthy video, their Make America Healthy Again video, there's the Putin-esque aspect of Putin being shirtless. Remember when Putin was shirtless on a horse?
Of course I remember it.
Because you've got it framed.
I have a poster in my house.
But it's, again, it's this bro mentality of like, you're trying to compensate because you don't have a lot of self-esteem. So you got to talk like little kids do on the schoolyard. At any rate.
Bad.
Okay. I know this is something that I think our listeners might want to text in on 314-436-7900. Did you hear about the new United Airlines policy regarding headphones? United Airlines now has retained the right to permanently ban you from Flying United.
Without headphones, if you're listening.
If you are listening
yes.
to a video or music or watching a video on your phone without headphones, it's such a public offense, and society is over it. So now you could get in trouble. If you are not listening to headphones, using headphones while you listen to audio or watch a video, they could permanently ban you from the airline.
Good. It's amazing. Being on an airplane, and when people are doing that, when they're watching something loud or they're playing a video game, something on their phone, and hear the chimes, you hear the chimes off and chime, because they're I don't know, collecting coins or something. I don't know, who knows what you're doing with your game. But when you hear that, it is the equivalent to me of being in the car behind somebody in another car who's just not paying attention to anything going on around them. Like the light turns green and they just sit. It's like they're so occupied in their own little world that they're not aware of anything going on around them. It's the same behavior.
I feel like the sound is worse. Only because, people look at their phones when they're at stoplights and so forth. But when you're on an airplane, you're watching a video, you know what you're doing. Anyway, we want to hear from you. 314-436-7900. You might be the culprit here.
Yeah, it probably is you. If you're thinking, what are you talking about? Then it's you.
If you don't get it, you're it.
You are absolutely an issue, and everybody hates you.
Oh, no, crunch.
So County Councilman Mark Harder said that weather people, the meteorologists, don't know what they're doing. I'm paraphrasing. But he did say that they get it right 50% of the time. Half the time they get it right, which means they get it wrong the other half. We're going to ask an AccuWeather meteorologist what he thinks. Carrie Schwindenhammer is next on KMOX.
Hey guys, Glover here with my friend Stewie from Stewart's American Mortgage Corporation. Stewie, I think this is going to be a strange season for real estate. Just kind of feel it in my gut. What can people do apropos of their mortgage to put themselves in a better position to get that house?
And Dave, that's a great question. There's a bidding wars that are going to happen this spring. You want to get the house. This is how you're going to make things better. Number one, we give you the power of the pre-approval letter. That means you can go into our portal and generate the letter and edit it for any amount you want up to the amount you're approved without chasing the loan officer. Number two, the bagel loan, no closing costs, no title fees, no lender fees, no appraisal fees. It's a bagel. Bagel looks like a zero, easy to remember. Add that money you would normally pay onto your bid and beat the other offers out. And you know what? The third thing is we can close fast. 10 days. They're going to look away at the other offers because most lenders take as much as 30 days to get done.
You can call or text Stewie at his personal cell phone, 314-324-4440, or you can Google the bagel loan, NMLS 226715.
Too many tools, too much stress, and way too many bills. Odoo replaces it all. One connected platform for every part of your business, so you can work faster, smarter, and for less. Odoo, the only software you'll ever need. Try it free today at odoo.com. That's ODOO.com.
Oh, how's that flu, babe? Did you take Dayquil Intense Flu yet?
Nah, I got this. Ugh, okay, I don't got this.
You stay on the couch, and I'll grab the Dayquil.
Undo your flu symptoms with Dayquil Intense Flu. Dayquil Intense Flu provides powerful relief of your flu symptoms.
I'm ready for that to-do list.
Wow, you do got this.
Dayquil Intense Flu. The daytime coughing, aching, fever, under your flu medicine. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
If snow and cold has you thinking spring, why don't you do something constructive and call Chesterfield Fence and Deck? Let this be the year that you have that beautiful outdoor space that you've always wanted. Whether you're talking about a new deck, a patio, a pergola, they do all of it. And of course, fences as well, sunrooms, screen rooms. You can visit their beautiful showroom in the Chesterfield Valley. Chesterfield Fence and Deck is the sign you have the very best since 1968. All of their products are guaranteed by a 5-year labor warranty, comprehensive material warranties provided. They have an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Now, if you're looking for the rock bottom cheapest price, Chesterfield Fence and Deck is not it. What they are is the company that guarantees their work and has been doing great work for 57 years. Quality work that will last for a long, long time. So you can enjoy your outdoor space for years to come. If you mention me, Debbie Monterey, they'll offer you 48 months interest-free financing. Chesterfield Fence FanDuel.com.
Hey guys, Kevin Wheeler here for FanDuel Sportsbook, the official sportsbook of KMOX. It's college basketball season. It's been phenomenal. And look, college basketball is just nonstop, big games, tight spreads, momentum swings every night. And now FanDuel is giving you a way to turn that energy into even bigger wins with a college basketball parlay profit boost. So here's how it works. Build any college hoops parlay that you like. The early tip, the rivalry game, the ranked matchup, the late night West Coast shootout, whatever it is. You can mix spreads, totals, props, whatever fits your read on that slate, and then just apply your profit boost and instantly bump that potential payout. So go safe. You can do that. You can go spicy, get hot, get in there. Go with the team that you've been following all year. Pick a new one. Doesn't matter. Just go to FanDuel.com/Missouri to get yourself started. FanDuel, play your game. Remember, you must be 21 or older and present in Missouri. Opt-in required. Minimum 2-leg parlay required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable boost builder tokens. Restrictions do apply, including any token expiration and max wager amount. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. And if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
100 years of service and still at your service. KMOX.
All right, so I have some respect for meteorologists. I believe they work hard. I think they're smart. I think they know what they're doing. And I think the weather is only so predictable. You know, you can get it right a little bit. Well, guess what? They've been telling us it's going to rain all day. And what's it doing? It's raining right now. They've been telling us this with certainty, great certainty it's going to rain. And, you know, we can get a little forecast ourselves, but we want to get the opinion of Carrie Schwindenhammer, AccuWeather meteorologist, over some comments made by a St. Louis County councilman recently. Carrie, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
All right, we're doing great. I was infuriated this morning when I heard something.
Yeah. And which I want to say, it's more of a stray bullet that meteorologists caught rather than a full-on attack.
So I was infuriated on your behalf, and we would like to get your thoughts on this.
The budget forecast calls for a budget that will collapse by the end of the year if we don't have significant service reductions.
County Councilman Mark Harder fires back, quote, like most weathermen, Sam Page is lucky to get 50% of his forecasts right and still keep his job, end quote.
Carrie?
Uncalled for.
Carrie.
Ouch.
Yeah. How do you feel about that?
How do I feel about it? You know, I'm going to probably refrain from specifically responding to that person's opinion, and just point out the fact that, you know, obviously there's a lot more that goes into the weather than what it might seem. I remember having a debate with somebody close to me where they said, well, if high pressure is overhead right now and it's going to move east tomorrow, they're going to have the same weather. And it just doesn't work that way. The weather is basically a fluid, not literally, but figuratively. And because of that, there's all kinds of different things that can go into impacting what the weather is going to be on a given location. I mean, think about this, for example. Let's say you have a storm coming out of Texas. Well, Texas is a pretty large state. To the south is Mexico, of course. You're bringing in dry air from Mexico northward. However, when that storm heads eastward across the lower Mississippi Valley, now you're getting the influence of the Gulf of Mexico and some of that more humid air. So there's a lot more that goes into it. And, you know, with time, even more and more computer models come out and other data. Ultimately, there's still that impact that we bring where we're able to kind of differentiate between what is believable and trustable and what is actually legitimate. Our role changes with time. For example, the average meteorologist is not going to spend their time trying to figure out whether it's partly sunny or mostly sunny tomorrow in St. Louis or in Chicago or in Beaver Dam, Kentucky, because for the most part, computer models are getting better and better. However, what they are not good enough at, what they cannot handle still, are things like communicating the actual impacts one will see, conveying the uncertainty in a manner that inspires confidence, talking about how if the track is farther north or farther south, this could be the impact. So there's a lot more that goes into it. And of course, you know, we've seen plenty of big events over time. Here at AccuWeather, we're proud of our reputation and also the history that we have with forecasting big events and providing that extra detail and context that allows people to basically protect their property, protect their lives, and make decisions that help them prosper.
So when somebody says to you, you're just flipping a coin, then you tell them all of that.
Well, my response is that, they're underthinking a little bit, because the best meteorologists have two coins to flip. If we only had one, then we wouldn't be able to trust it. But when we flip two coins and they both come up heads, then we know exactly what we're going to go with. That, of course, is in jest. I like to joke with people. That that my dartboard is pretty effective and efficient after all these years. But in all reality, and even though I joke a little bit about that now, there's also some of us that feel like, you know what, we want to be careful about joking about that, because what we don't want is for that to influence the trust that people have in weather forecast information. I'll give you just one example. If you go back to Hurricane Katrina, which I'm sure many of your listeners remember, those that are old enough, and even those that aren't old enough probably are familiar with Katrina. We were talking about that being an energy disrupting storm days in advance, and talking about how 60 to 80% of the city was going to be underwater within 24 to 48 hours of the storm starting. Other sources weren't calling for that. In fact, some of them downplayed the impacts, or at least talked about it may not be as bad as people think. Well, that's exactly what happened. And when it comes to weather forecast information, that context and providing that detail and value goes a long way toward people being able to kind of set themselves up for success. We were even cited, by the way, by a bipartisan committee in Congress for our performance with that storm. That's just one small example. There's plenty of others where we've provided forecast information that's helped manufacturing plants get their employees to safety ahead of a tornado that was not warned by the competition or by the weather service in some cases. And that service that we provided allowed them to actually prevent any deaths and injuries. So, a lot of people do joke about that, but, there's always going to be limitations with the weather, but our forecasting techniques are tried and true. Forecasting in general just keeps getting better and better because the computer model information is better. But ultimately, it's up to us to provide that extra detail and context that allows people to make the right decisions.
Do some of the funding cuts that have happened, like to National Weather Service and NOAA, have things like that hindered forecasts?
I can't speak for other agencies, but here at AccuWeather, obviously, we have ways around anything like that. So I would say no, that does not affect us specifically. With time, every company becomes more and more efficient. But here at AccuWeather, we've got a very talented team, a total of over 100 meteorologists, not all actively forecasting the weather, but some of those are people that are, doing computer programming. Some of those are improving our algorithms or setting us up for success in our app or our website. So it is possible that some people may have experienced those kind of limitations or impacts, but that's not something that AccuWeather has experienced.
So, Carrie Schwindenhammer, AccuWeather meteorologist, the way I am hearing it, you would like us to tell Councilman Harder to stuff it?
I would say that how you respond is up to you. I'm not going to personally get involved with the politics of it, so to speak. But I will say that I think sometimes people kind of underestimate the value that meteorologists can bring to the forecast. And I've just seen plenty of examples over the years. I do some tours here for groups that come in, and one of my favorite things to do is talk about the kind of success stories that we've had, but also how people have benefited from receiving forecast information from us. And, frankly, the National Weather Service, their warnings provide a value as well. If there's a warning issued and people are down on that warning or don't believe it or don't take heed of it, they're potentially putting themselves at risk. And so I would always advise people to take those warnings seriously. It doesn't mean there's going to be a tornado, But you don't want to be in one of those situations where the sixth time you've decided to ignore the warning happens to be the time where there is a tornado, and as a result, there's unfortunate situations that come from that. So I would advise people to take those warnings seriously. There's a reason we go to school for 4+ years to study this craft and to improve messaging. I would say that there's a lot of value that we provide, and our clients are a testament to that.
Kerry, we appreciate you. Thank you for being with us again today.
I'm happy to do it. Thank you.
Kerry Schwindenhammer, AccuWeather meteorologist, and I love people who love weather and care about it. It's great,
No,
man.
I have
And you
not-
can tell he cares.
I've not seen anyone as passionately protective of meteorologists as you are.
Yeah. Me?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You might be the most pro weatherman,
Non-weatherman.
non-weatherman I've
Yeah.
ever met.
Yeah.
Actually, not. You are. It's not even.
Yeah.
It's not even close.
I think it's lazy to say, 50-50. It's lazy. Don't be lazy. I love this text to 314-436-7900. Don't blame the National Weather Service if they get the forecast wrong. After all, they're a non-profit organization, PROPHET.
No, come on. This is not the type of text we want at 314-436-7900.
We would like to
Absolutely
know
not.
what the best bar in St. Louis is, because we are getting ready for Barch Madness. We are going to find the best bar in
Yeah.
the St. Louis area that includes the Metro East. So submit it to us. What is the best bar in the St. Louis area? 314-436-7900 to text it or tweet at us. Follow us on Twitter at Chris Amy KMOX and send us a tweet. This is the Chris and Amy Show.
Who's been talking about St. Louis sports since 1985? Bernie Miklasz.
March the 26th, first game, Busch Stadium, Tampa Bay Rays at Cardinals. The first Cardinal to bat in 2026. That will be J.J. Weatherholt. So the point is, he'll be on base a lot. He has tremendous on-base skills, and I think that's what you want in the leadoff hole.
Bernie Miklasz. Hear what he has to say on the voice of the St. Louis Cardinals. 104.1 FM, KMOX.
The 46th Builder St. Louis Home and Garden Show, presented by James Hardy, is back.
This St. Louis tradition returns to America's Center March 6th through 8th.
Shop hundreds of local companies for home improvement deals.
Find ideas, inspiration, and expert advice.
Bring the whole family to watch the adrenaline-pumping off-axis stunt show and the canines in the clouds frisbee dogs.
The Home and Garden Show is back at America's Center March 6th through 8th.
Details at stlhomeshow.com.
Now, KMOX weather from the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk.
Breezy and not as cool with periods of rain and a thunderstorm today. Pretty much the same. 53 degrees right now, a high of 59. Tonight, watch out because there could be showers and thunderstorms and heavy downpours, which could lead to hail, street flooding, and damaging wind gusts.
To have a roof over your head, a nice roof over your head, is very important.
That's Rick talking about his experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago, and they're very cooperative on getting us the right paint. They were in and out and done in no time. Once it was finished, looked great. We were very happy with it.
The main reason Rick called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by a 25-year transferable warranty.
We've watched a lot of people get their house painted 3 or 4 times, and we haven't had to do any of it. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to have to paint it every 5-7 years.
Take a tip from Rick and put down the paintbrush and call Rhino Shield for your free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago. Financially makes sense, especially if it's going to last like this did. Still looks great.
Call now. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com.
Don't paint, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Presenting a Gain Flings love story. Dear love of my life, we were on the 12B bus this morning when I caught a whiff. A scent so fresh, so life-changing, I had to find its source. Alas, I didn't know if you were the woman in the pink freshly washed cardigan or the retired mailman next to me, but I knew one of you was my soulmate. Ah, the scent of Gain Flings. Try Gain Flings with OxyBoost and Febreze.
Straight Talk Wireless presents Pickup Truck Wisdom.
Trust is earned. That's why I've stuck with Straight Talk. Same price as 2009 on Verizon's 5G network. Cause shoot, anyone can make a promise. Keeping it for years, that means something.
Now plans starting at $25 a month with 4 lines. Find us at straighttalk.com and Walmart. Straight Talk Wireless. Straightforward. Always. Same price claim applies only to the base monthly price of our $45 plan from October 2009 to present.
For 100 years, KMOX has been a part of St. Louis. Now, those moments live on, preserved, remastered, and ready to be heard again. Discover KMOX from the Archives, a podcast featuring classic audio from a century of service.
Sponsored by Overhead Door Company of St. Louis, the genuine, the original.
The KMOX from the Archives podcast, available now at KMOX100.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
Start your summer early at the St. Charles Boat Show, March 5th through 8th at the St. Charles Convention Center. The top marine dealers from the Lake of the Ozarks will be on site with the newest boats, personal watercraft, docks, and accessories. Step aboard, compare models, and find the perfect ride for your family. Special show pricing and experts ready to help make your boating dreams a reality. Visit lakeoftheozarksboatdealers.com for more information.
It's men's Billikens basketball action tonight as they take to the court against Loyola. Pre-game 6:45, tip at 7 on your home for Billikens basketball, KMOX.
This is the Chris and Amy Show on KMOX. Welcome to the Midday Midlife.
Well, it is Wednesday, which means it's time for the midweek, midday, midlife. And we kind of teased this earlier in the week. We want to know, what is the most stressful decade of your life? Now, a recent study came out, and again, it's broad brushstrokes, so take everything with a grain of salt, that said, in general, your 40s are the most stressful decade for a variety of biological and sociological reasons, which all make sense to me. Biological, your body is changing, your hormones are changing, your metabolism is changing, and they say that this is 100% amplified even more so for women, right?
Yeah.
Hormones are really changing in your 40s. But then sociologically, you may be at a point in your job where you have a lot of responsibility because you've worked your way up, or you're running a business, or wherever you may be, and you are expected to have a ton of responsibility at the same time that you might have kids, young kids, high schoolers. You're dealing with those issues, drop off, pick up, and maybe your parents are starting to need a little help, whether that be physically need help, they're caretaking, or they need help with technology. Like, hey, how do I get my phone bill or work on, get my phone to work? And so all of those things piled together, it has been determined that your 40s is the most stressful decade overall.
Yeah, I think that I can see it, because your parents are getting older, your body does start to break down itself. So you have to kind of worry about all of that.
I can't be as stupid in my 40s as I could have in my 20s and 30s.
And I know that people say, really, and I think you brought this up too, that maybe it's just the decade you're in.
I think you brought that up.
Was it me?
It was your idea, which I think is exactly true.
Well, yeah. I mean, it can be whatever is going on. And for the most part, I assume that's right. Because then you really do start to actually think about mortality a little bit. It does feel far off, but it feels like it is rapidly approaching. Like when you're in your 20s, you're not even thinking about that.
Yeah.
You just it doesn't occur to you that you're going to die. When you get to be in your 40s, and some of us might die sooner than others. Yeah. Like Pajeski.
Yeah.
He doesn't know it yet.
He's dancing because he's in his 20s like an idiot.
Oh, don't worry,
a long ways to go.
Well, you hope.
We're all day to day, buddy. So
yeah. And that's what it comes down to, because I think you start to face it. More people that like I have seen a lot of kids, people that I went to high school with who are passing away. And when that starts to happen, and there were a couple of tragedies when I was younger of high school classmates who died in their teens or in their early 20s, and for various reasons, accidents and whatever. But then you start to get to that point where it's somebody has had cancer, or somebody actually had a heart attack, which is still young in your 40s to have that. But people who are going through health things, and you just don't even, it does not occur to you when you're in your early 20s.
Yeah. Well, right. Because life experience and wisdom, because no matter how mature you are as a young person, and we know that the scale of maturity for young people is wide. It varies a lot. But even if you're very, very mature at 23, 27, you cannot have the same, you will not be the same person at 47.
Right.
At least I hope not, because then you haven't grown. Because there are certain things that only come with experience, with life. And I am not saying that all 40-year-olds are mature. I'm just saying that following your life trajectory, if whatever you are at 25, ideally you're in some ways a different person, a wiser person at 45. And I will say, and we've gotten some texters who say, yes, wherever you are right now, that's the most stressful. Yes and no, because I loved my 30s. I really did. But especially your 40s as a woman is different, because you're not in your 40s, like you said, you started thinking about mortality. Well, for women in your 40s, you're thinking, well, I'm not going to have kids.
That's right.
Do you know what I mean? Like, that's a big one.
That's right.
That's a big one that's not real in your 20s and 30s. In your 20s and 30s, you've still got time. And so I think whether you are stressed out in your 40s because you have kids, little kids, and you're older, so that's tough, or you have high schoolers, because older kids have bigger problems. It's one thing when you're 3 and your problem is, we're potty training, we have to pick up Legos. But when you're 17 and you're like, are you doing drugs? Did you get someone pregnant? I mean, that's a much bigger problem than picking up Legos. So, whether you have kids, young kids, old kids, or don't have kids, that alone is a very big issue in your 40s.
And I've made this comment to you before too, I think. And when I was working in baseball, there was a guy who made it to the big leagues. And look, I know who, not all ball players, but a lot of ball players. I hate to tell you this. Some of them, many of them, may step out a little. They might have girlfriends or wives or whatever. They might step out a little.
I'm very, very cynical. I always say guilty until proven innocent.
Yeah, that's a little extreme.
That's how I feel with athletes.
It's not like that, but there are more than you would think that step out. And I remember saying about this guy who made it to the big leagues at 23. I think he was 23. And within 2 weeks, he met a lady and they got married. They didn't get married in 2 weeks, but that's who he just. And I said to myself, because I know how ball players are, or a lot of them, maybe you shouldn't get married right now. Maybe you should wait. Maybe you should wait until you're older and you don't feel it. And I made the comment, you know what? You could be 40 and still find yourself a soulmate. So why not enjoy your 20s right now while you're a Major League Baseball player? And now that I think about that comment, I think 40 wasn't old. Why did I say 40? Because I've blown way past that. And it doesn't.
You overshot that.
Yeah. But when you are 20, when you're 25, it just feels like forever away, and it really isn't.
It's not. No. And I will say, too, because of my life situation, right? I mean, I don't have kids, not married. I'm not dealing with all sorts of stuff. My friends, the amount of the responsibility that my peers have, I feel a little foolish at time when I look at my own sad little life. But I feel a little foolish because the women who are my age, 42, like I said, they might have 3, 4, 5 kids. And they're working, and their husbands are working, and they've got a mortgage on their house, and baseball practice, and soccer practice, and little Jimmy is sick. And again, like I said, aging parents, plus your own body is changing. You're like, wow, I just ate pizza last night. My body is responding way differently than it used to.
A message from somebody, from Andy, who was watching on Facebook and says, I am almost 43. Never thought I'd face the things I'm going through now. A caretaker for her mom who has ALS, bought a new house, teenage daughter, trying to be a wife, mom, homemaker, and I am laid off, Andy says. Ready for my 50s. They have to be better than this. And yeah, and I suppose it can be, like I said, whatever. There are exceptions to everything, and some people have it tougher in their 20s or 30s. Something comes up that's unusual, but I would think that 40 is in this decade is when it really starts for a lot of people. There's a texter here who says, I don't care how old anybody is. If this isn't the most stressful decade in their life, I'll eat my head.
Wow. That seems like a tough feat.
I don't know how you do that.
Yeah.
Another message says, yeah, wait till you get into your late 60s. Yikes.
And that's the thing, though. I don't, it sounds like I'm complaining about 40s, and I feel like 40s feels way younger than I anticipated it feeling. And like I joke with running, some of my fastest times I posted, at 39, 40 years old. However, I do not bounce back like I used to. I have to have sleep. I've also noticed that in my 20s, I always wanted to go out. I always felt like I was looking for something to do. Hey, who wants to hang out? Who wants to go to this concert? Who wants to grab dinner? Whatever it may be. I am pretty content being at home. Is that a personality thing or an age thing?
I think it's a personality thing.
You're not content being at home?
Sometimes I am. Yeah, sometimes I really don't feel like...
You remember in your 20s, you always wanted to go out? Like you always wanted to go do something.
Yeah, but I think by the time I got into my 30s, I wasn't always feeling that way, especially during the week, I guess. I don't know.
At any rate.
Hey, now this is something that's a little off topic here. But it does make you think a little bit. And I told both Amy and Matt about this in the office, learned of it yesterday. Mm-hmm. But there is a Bears player who is 27 years old, plays for the Chicago Bears. He's right in the middle of his prime. He just finished year 1 of a 3-year contract. So 27. He's a center. His name is Drew Dahlman. Yesterday, it was announced, he didn't announce it, but the word got out that he is going to retire. And he still has a couple of years left on the contract. And I mean, that really hit me. And it's not because now the Bears they've got some things to figure out, because it leaves a giant hole. I mean, there's a lot for them to figure out. But here's a man who is 27, still has 2 more years to play, at least on this contract, could have played beyond that. And because of the violent nature of the sport, I guess we haven't heard a reason yet why he abruptly decided to retire. But when you hear about that from somebody who's only 27 years old, I don't know why, but somebody who, for me, I'm 20 years older than he is. It was really difficult to wrap my head around it. And maybe it's because of the physical nature of the game and how it is, it's tough on the body. And maybe he had this realization that I don't want to play football anymore.
Wouldn't it have had to have been a recent realization if you said he was in the first year of a 3-year contract?
So. It would have to.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it didn't occur to him before he signed that contract.
But it really does. It's a very unusual, unique situation because most people are just not going to play professional sports. But to have somebody who said, I don't want to be in my 40s. And again, we're only speculating that he's worried about health because he hasn't said anything publicly yet. But if it is because he doesn't want to live with CTE or doesn't want to live with, he's seen his dad, whose body is broken down. His dad played football for several years, professional football. And he has seen that and is saying, I don't want to be that. I don't want to be in my 40s and be broken down like that, or have a brain injury, have chronic traumatic encephalopathy or any of that, and have to deal with the effects of it later in life. That's somebody who at a very early age is having the conversations we're having right now about not wanting their bodies to break down by the time they're 40.
Well, and was that not Andrew Luck's reason for retiring?
Yeah.
When he retired at a young age as a quarterback?
Yeah.
Because you see CTE, You see bodies that are broken. You see former players who are my age and
Yeah.
can barely walk.
Yep.
Because that sport is so uniquely physical. I get that any professional sport is going to take a toll on its body. You're going to need maybe surgery. You might not walk great.
Right.
But even compared to a sport like hockey, football is so profoundly violent. It's like being in a car accident every day in a lot of ways, the way you're just, slamming up against people and getting hit. I would be probably, I'm almost surprised more people don't get into it and think, I don't know that this is worth it for me. In the same way that, like Travis Kelce, all right, you met the love of your life, Taylor Swift, you guys have a ton of money. I know you're a fierce competitor, but is it in the back of your mind a little bit that one bad hit or even a few more hits leading to CTE?
Right.
What will your condition be in 10 or 20 years?
I don't know how you don't just get out. I mean, you love the sport so much and you want to be in it. And that's a hard thing for many guys because usually they're told that you can't play anymore. It's not your decision. It's you can't play this game anymore. No one's going to hire you. And so the decision is made for you. That's usually what happens. It's got to be difficult to turn that. Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I get it, but I also, I guess, don't. This texter says, 46 years old here and realized today I was officially old because I started carrying around an umbrella, even though it wasn't raining this time, and I was doing it in preparation for later.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
That's one way you know you're old.
I was meant to be an old man. It's just everything about that resonates with me. Wake up at 4, eat your eggs, read a newspaper. By 5:30, you've lived a lifetime.
I don't need all that. Let's give something away. We have tickets to see Zach Bryan at the Dome on Saturday night, and we are looking for caller number 6 to the contest line at 314-955-1120. 955-1120. It's a 314 number. And if you are caller number 6, you'll go see Zach Bryan on Saturday for free. The tickets will be free. And those are presented to you by AEG. And you're going to have to pay for your own parking or ride or whatever, but we'll get you in the building. How about that? It's nice of us to do that for you because we care on the Chris and Amy show on KMOX.
Don't get lulled into believing the IRS is getting soft. It's just the opposite. Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm. We are being told by IRS collection officers that their higher-ups are demanding that they get more aggressive than ever. So don't ignore them any longer. Level up. If you have unfiled returns, unpaid taxes, levies, or liens, call me, Lance Drury, today and let me get between you and the IRS. I'll protect your rights. At the Lance Drury Law Firm, our practice is focused 100% on fighting the IRS. Remember, IRS problems are legal problems, and they need to be handled by an expert attorney who's done it for decades. So call the Lance Drury Law Firm today. We're local. Our office is right here in St. Louis. Call 314-260-6120. Visit Lance, D-R-U-R-Y, law.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance tech at a university, he knows ordering from multiple suppliers takes time away from keeping their arena up and running. That's why he counts on Grainger to get everything he needs, from lighting and HVAC parts to plumbing supplies, all in one place. And with fast, dependable delivery, he's stocked and ready for the next tip-off. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
My name is Whitney Allen, and I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought we'd ever have to use life insurance, but the unexpected happened. With Ethos, signing up was fast and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage. I'm grateful we were prepared.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/radio. That's ethos.com/radio. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Hey guys, Glover here for my friends at Zero Res. You know, they do such a great job. Beat the spring cleaning rush and call our cleaning heroes now. This month, buy one, get one room of carpet clean for free. Unlimited rooms of carpet. Visit ZeroResSTL.com and let them know that Dave sent you.
Saving money is hard, but what's worse is when you save all year, hoping to use that money for a nice vacation, and then your AC unit dies and that money is gone. Now imagine yourself in retirement. You've saved a nice amount, hoping to use it for fun, but every time you take money out of your 401k, you get hammered in taxes. It's a sad fact, but your number one expense in retirement may not be cruises and trips. It could be taxes. At the All Financial Group, we believe in keeping more of your money where it belongs, with you. Join the All Financial Group for their Taxes in Retirement Seminar, Tuesday, March 10th and Thursday, March 12th. Fund your retirement, not Uncle Sam's. You must qualify to attend. Call today to reserve your spot, 636-230-8824, or go online to yourmoneymattersstl.com. And services made available through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IPW, a registered investment advisor. Neither the firm nor its agents nor representatives may give any tax or legal advice. Individuals should consult with a qualified professional for guidance before making any purchasing decisions.
You can feel the Clydesdales circling the field. Hear the stands come alive. Smell the hot dogs, the popcorn, and cold beer in the air. See the crowd rise as the first pitch hits the glove. And just like that, a new season begins. The countdown is on until opening day, and tickets start at just $49. Don't miss St. Louis's favorite holiday. Get your tickets at cardinals.com/opening day.
Cardinals single-game tickets are now on sale for the 2026 season. The schedule delivers big-time matchups, including weekend series against the Cubs and Dodgers, and visits from the Boston Red Sox. Add in a promotions calendar stacked with fan favorites like all-new giveaways, a Hawaiian short and shirt set, golf-inspired hat, dark mode jersey, and a whole lot more. It's Busch Stadium at its best all season long. Lock in your seats today at Cardinals.com.
The Chris and Amy Show on 104.1 FM KMOX and the free Odyssey app.
Congratulations, Scott from Shiloh, Illinois. Gonna go see Zach Brown.
So weird.
Zach Bryan, not Zach Brown.
Zach Bryan.
Damn.
Come
Zach
on.
Bryan. Zach Bryan. Hopefully, did I say? I didn't say Zach Brown, did I?
I don't remember at this point.
Well,
I feel like you said it correctly.
Yeah. You know
Zach Brown is the chicken fried guy.
Zach Brown is the chicken fried guy.
Zach Bryan
Yeah.
is smoking a cigarette on the cover of his album.
So I hope Scott from Shiloh, I hope I didn't say Zach Brown, and thinks that he called in for Zach Brown tickets. It's Zach Bryan. And then he shows up to the dome and is like, what is this? Zach Bryan, Saturday. Anyway, congratulations, Scott.
Nice work. Okay. I asked, somehow fish came up. I don't remember. And I remember I was like, Ron, have you ever touched a fish? And he said he has. But I think John Hancock has never touched a fish. Does that sound right, Matt?
Yeah.
Yeah. And he was joking how John Hancock always says, it's Georgianne, his wife, who has the tools and is taking care of things. And I asked Ranj, what's the manliest thing you've ever done?
And I said, well, I've changed a tire. I was thinking about it on the side of the highway.
That's pretty manly.
I've changed my own tire. And then I said, I have changed a whole doorknob. Both sides.
Is it one knob?
Well, there's a knob on each side. Do you know how hard it is to do that, to line it up?
No.
It is not easy. I know there's got to be a trick to it, a way to do it easily. I couldn't. Man, I had a tough time.
It was.
But I got it done.
The way he said it, I felt like I was his mom, and he just got home from school. Said, Chris, what did you do today?
I changed the whole doorknob. It's tough.
It's tough.
It's not easy.
It's more than I could do.
There's a lot of moving parts, and you have to line them up correctly.
And it could rattle if you do it wrong.
Well, more than that, the knob won't do anything if you turn it and you haven't assembled it correctly.
I think it's impressive and also adorable. He changed the whole doorknob. Now
you haven't done it.
No,
Don't look
I
at me.
haven't.
Things are going great. Anything you missed on the show today is on KMOX.com, the Odyssey app. You can get the podcast there. You can come back tomorrow, 9 a.m. We'll do it again, 9 to noon, Chris and Amy show. Anything you missed, any of these interviews, they are right there for you on the Odyssey app. Gas House Gang is next. Tom Ackerman and me on KMOX.
I have golder toilets than you do.
Time now for today's Spotlight on Money.